You're watching the Top 6 Show, the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below. Welcome back to the Top 6 Show. It's Monday night. Smash the like and the share button and check out Tops now for all the best in real card collectibles. Genuine cards, nothing digital, no NFT nonsense, but real Champions League collectible cards with Tops. The semi-final cards are out soon, so go and check the website out. Sign up now for free for a 10% discount. But look at this beautiful panel tonight. I haven't seen the Tottenham boys for a while, and then like a London bus, two come along at once, which is amazing to see. JJ's back with us again, showing us a view from his penthouse apartment there. I know what he's up to. Egal has arrived, sad, but with a little smirk. Look, the smirk's out today. I like that the smirk's here. Do you know what I'm saying? It's good to see it, my bro. It really, really is. Nobbins is back from his holiday. How are you, mate?
I am, yeah. Good, thank you. I went to the US and the shorts I went traveling in did not fit as good the way back. Let's just say that. I had a lot of food. I like burgers every day. It was good, but I did eat like an American. So yeah, I'm a fat boy now.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit of stereotyping there, but I like it. You're allowed to stereotype Americans because no one cares. It's good. And Kaz is with us in new surroundings. Kaz, where are you?
I live with Daps now.
Oh, you live with Daps? Oh, congratulations, you two.
Yeah, we're getting married.
Sorry.
Nah, I'm here now. Nice. It's just obviously you're used to my Man United background and everything, but I thought let me just change up a little bit. And this is what we pieced together for the time being. I've only been here for a week. It's good though, man. It's good vibes. You know, got a hamster to cheer me up when Man United lose. And yeah, man, we're here.
Nice. That's a cute nickname for a partner. My little hamster. I hope she's nice. Look, there's lots to delve into today. Viewers, anything you want to speak about, send your super chats in, get your member chats in as well. Make sure like buttons are smashed, as I always say. But I wanted to start off with a bit of Man United news. It's kind of a follow-on from Friday's show. And the news that Min-Jae has supposedly agreed to join Man United. The clubs have still got to sort out details. And we'll touch on that in a few moments' time. But a big win this weekend, really, Kaz, because back-to-back defeats, Liverpool breathing down our necks. The team had to deliver, and they did.
Yeah, never in doubt anyways. It's just, I don't get the outrage with... I hear it. Our away form is garbage. I know that, but there's never the flip side of stuff because it's the same situation all season long. Man United's away form hasn't been great, hasn't been centralizing to watch at all. Nothing along those lines. But when it comes to the home form, everything changes. So for me, I was never in doubt about beating Wolves. They got what, third worst away record in the league, just above Nottingham Forest, or if not on level. So yeah, no, I would say it was a comfortable win. A lot of possession from Wolves that did nothing. They had 0 shots on target, but I'm getting told by rival fans that it was a narrow win. But we got to do better though. Like, I think everything that Ten Hag said in the press conference after the post match is right. It's not good enough at the end because the 2-0 result is just, you know, another team on their day could have got a goal or two. You know, you never know. And then we're back to square one where we're relying on a goal scorer if you don't agree or if you agree.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I didn't think it was a close game. I think we battered Wolves. We just didn't put the ball into the back of the net, which is why the club's linked with about 2 or 3 top-class number 9s this summer and an improvement needed in that area. But it was a game I felt kind of comfortable in, from a play point of view. Yes, I think they had 1% more possession than we did, but that was all in their own half. And no concerns my end. It's just a case now of beating Bournemouth and then pretty much, hopefully Liverpool drop some points tonight and then beat Bournemouth and it's done and dusted. Champions League football, full steam ahead. Because I do think to sign players like Min-Jae, Harry Kane, Osherman, individuals we're linked with, I know we can sign big players without the Champions League, but I think to get all our major targets, we need that money.
McAllister.
Oh, he's linked with United as well?
Yeah, today, McAllister, it all comes down to Champions League football. Which one?
Right. So Man United could take McAllister off Liverpool if we get Champions League football.
That's the decision. That's what Athletic broke.
I didn't see that story.
It came out today.
I didn't see that. Need to have a look. Need to verify some sources because you're trying to break more scouts' hearts with that one.
I trust me. If I
We've already gone through the Bellingham saga. This can't happen again.
But this
can't happen
this is
again.
what you Liverpool fans do, though. You hone onto one player and you put it dear to your heart. They're the best player in the world now, and there you go, heartbreak. You do it to yourself. But if I told you what I know, trust me, you'll be heartbroken. I promise you
Just
that.
say
Now.
here on the Athletic, Alexis McAllister wants Champions League football if he leaves Brighton. So it sounds like Cass is a reliable source.
And guess what? I knew that about a week ago. So it's nothing new.
I'm not surprised by that though. This guy is a World Cup winner. He's hot property right now. Liverpool are massive. There's no doubt. But United could listen. I'll be happy with that signing. Because he looks a dangerous. I mean, look at him and his team did to Arsenal yesterday at their ground.
We lack that sort of player in our team. We lack that sort of player massively in our team. And I honestly do end up thinking. Sorry. I think Liverpool go and get Caicedo. If they don't go and get McAllister, they'll go and get Caicedo. It's a like for like. I think Liverpool are winning regardless in this transfer window, potentially, because you are Liverpool at the end of the day. You have got Klopp. Regardless, Champions League, Europa League, I don't think it really matters. You've got that status at this moment of time. And I think a lot of midfielders that know Liverpool right now know that there's no midfield going on. I can make a name for myself. Agate linked with you recently. Caicedo linked with you recently. There's actually numerous of names linked with you recently. So I think there's nothing.
I just don't get how the profile of player just keeps changing. Like you're going for someone like McAllister. At first it was Bellingham. Now you're telling me Caicedo. Next it will be like Payinho or someone. Like I don't get Liverpool's strategy. That's what's worrying me more than anything. But from an individual standpoint, like of course, if you've had this kind of season that you've had at Brighton, why would you honestly come to Liverpool if you're looking at trying to develop like from a personal standpoint? You want to play Champions League football, that makes sense. But I don't understand where all this, like you said, the strategy of just zeroing in on one player and just like, yeah, that's the one we're getting and that's the only player we're getting. Because now we might have egg on our face again. So yeah, we have to wait.
You want to know something? Your club might not be showing all their cards. They might be keeping it to themselves. So everything you're reading might just be speculation based off of what people are hearing. But the reality is sometimes clubs keep stuff close to their chest, especially in a Liverpool situation where you don't know if you're going to be in Champions League football or not. You're not going to show everybody what you're going to do.
The difference is we used to be an organized outfit. Now we've got no director of football. Julian Ward is leaving. Klopp's overseeing things. We're in a position where before Liverpool weren't urgent to get any players. So when we were signing players, we were able to go and sign players because it was like, yeah, Liverpool will still just run the same midfield and we'll still be all right. So there's no pressure. Now everyone knows that Liverpool need a midfielder. Klopp's admitted that Liverpool need a midfielder. Everyone knows. So you can't be as smart with your dealings because any team in world football now knows Liverpool need a midfielder. So they're going to slap a premium on that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, what Liverpool's situation is going to be really interesting at the end of the season because I'm not someone that every summer for about 7 years now, the big teams that are not in the Champions League, you always hear, you're not going to sign anybody because you're not in the Champions League. And it's never a case of you can't sign anyone, but equally, I think it does take your opportunity of signing certain players away. For instance, Declan Rice only wants to go to a Champions League team if he leaves West Ham. So you're going to need that. I think Alexis McAllister is in the same position, barring money, leaving Brighton for a team that leaving Brighton for, say, not a dig at Spurs, but for Spurs right now, it's stupid. Because yes, they're a more prestigious team. They're a bigger team historically, but it's not a sensible place to go right now in terms of your career, especially without Champions League football. So I think it has an impact in some respects, but I think you guys need 2 or 3 midfielders. So the fact you're linked to a McAllister and a Caicedo, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just think it's kind of par for the course in terms of where you are at right now. But yeah, I'm not surprised to see Man United linked to him. Obviously, the news. Sorry, go on.
That's journos in a nutshell, though. I think a lot of people misplace the idea of players going to clubs. Look, I'm pretty sure Man United are interested in about 100 players, and I'm pretty sure Liverpool are interested in about 50, 60, 70 players. It's the same thing. It doesn't mean you're going to go sign them. It just means you're interested. But to our perspective, the way they make us look at it is that, we're interested in this player. We're going to go buy him now. No, it doesn't mean anything. You're just interested. I might have a wife. We're going through a breakup. There's a lovely looking woman over there. I might be interested in talking to her. I might be interested in that one over there too. Am I gonna go do anything? No, because I'm still got to deal with what I've got.
I get the analogy, but I'm just going to say this: dealing with Arsenal and what we've had to do over the last couple of seasons when we didn't have Champions League football and not knowing which direction we're going to go with players, you do seem like you're going to have so many different targets, so many different players around, because there's going to be truth behind all these different rumors. It's just the level of how much truth is in each one. You're not going to be able to know until your club decides and narrows down which direction they're going to go. And I kind of feel like right now what you guys are doing, it's early in the transfer window. They're just trying to figure out which pot they're going to deal with, and that's why you're linked to all these different players. It happened to us.
No, I agree, and obviously news about Man United this afternoon as well. Sabitzer has now been confirmed as out for the rest of the. I love it where there's 2 games of the season left and someone gets an injury and go out for the season. It sounds really dramatic, but yes, Sabitzer's done now, and whether or not he stays at the club's interesting, because there's a report that Ten Hag wants the club to sign Rabiot. I think he's available on a free, but they want Rabiot to come in, which again is a really interesting one when you see all the other. Yeah, it's gonna be there's gonna be so many links, and I think there's sort of like an element of truth to a lot of these deals, you know, and there just is. Fabrizio has actually said, and James put this in here, that Chelsea are interested in Moises Caicedo and keep an eye on Alexis McAllister. Again,
Doesn't make sense.
like, does anyone see
Chelsea not interested in? That is the real question. Like, who are they not interested in? They're interested in
Chelsea's interested in
everywhere. Every single player that has potential, they want to get their hands on. So there's no surprise about that. Poch has just come in, so any sources coming out about what they want, I wouldn't believe. They got to sort out the whole mess inside their team that they got currently.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't see Moises Caicedo or McAllister picking Chelsea over those other clubs unless they offer them double, 3 times the salary.
Chelsea bid for him in January, so
it's true they did. But remember in January, when a January window shut, when it was Chelsea, there was talk about, right, if these signings can click, people were talking about an outside chance of top 4, and they just got progressively worse from that point. I just don't see Caicedo picking Chelsea unless none of the other teams go in for him. Same as McAllister. If Liverpool and Man United are genuinely bidding for you, Arsenal and Liverpool bidding for Caicedo, I just don't see why he sits there, looks at all those projects and says, yeah, I got Chelsea. I just don't see it personally myself. Chelsea fans may disagree, but excuse me. Yeah, that's a mad one for me personally. In terms of, funny you say that, Terry, because Caicedo himself said money is a big factor for him. He wants to help his country out. So maybe that is what it comes down to with him.
Siblings.
Yeah, but when you're on $5,000 a week to him, I'm pretty sure even a 25 grand, 30 grand upgrade is going to be more than enough for what he wants to accomplish. So
man has
he
10
already
siblings,
got,
bro.
he
Don't
already
forget
got a
that.
contract extension. He already got a new contract.
You're right there, Patrick. He did, didn't he?
Yeah. So they sorted that. So obviously he gets a decent, sum until someone buys him, and obviously whoever buys him from Brighton, they're gonna have to pay a more of a fee. So,
I get that. In terms of the top 4, with United winning this weekend, Newcastle drop points again, though. Liverpool play.
Look at that smirk as he said that.
Leicester play Liverpool tonight. How do we all see this going? Because when United lost back-to-back, there was, United are in trouble. United win a game, and that talk kind of dies down. Patty, what are you saying, bro? Who's getting these last 2 Champions League spots, in your opinion?
Let me take a look at the table. I think Newcastle are pretty much set because their goal difference is really healthy. I think United will get it, I think United will do it. I think Liverpool, the Leicester game's tough. I do think Liverpool will beat them. Actually, no. Who have United got left to play?
The thing is, though, Pat, if you look at the fixtures, Newcastle.
Bear with me a sec.
Although they have, Newcastle have tough fixtures because they're playing teams, like you say, they got Brighton next, which is the team battling for a similar position as them. They've got Leicester, who's battling relegation just after Man United that do. Is it Man United? No, Liverpool have got them.
Liverpool today, yeah.
And then they end it with Chelsea, and Chelsea's got to play each and every one of them as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
So
Newcastle's goal difference is essentially an extra point. They don't really concede a lot of goals. They've also got, Southampton already done, which definitely works in Liverpool's favour because they got nothing to play for. Villa are still fighting for Europe, so they got something to play for. I think it stays as it is. I think Liverpool will push hard, but yeah, I think Newcastle and United probably would just see it through, which will be fantastic for both of those teams. Liverpool have done really well, though, to be fair. You've got to give them credit. They were down and out. No one saw them doing what they were doing. So it's a respectable end to the season, but I think it's just too little too late, in my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if Leicester get a result today as well.
That if Leicester do get a result, that's it for Liverpool. But the reality is, Man United's win versus Wolves what solidifies it for me for Man United. The reason why people were saying Man United could slip is because they lost back-to-back games versus Brighton and West Ham. And if they had another drop, if they had a situation where they drop points against Wolves, then you could say, you know what, then the Bournemouth game away from home, you know, their record away from home is not good. And that gives Liverpool an outside chance. But against Newcastle, unless Liverpool get their goal difference up and Newcastle start slipping, you're not gonna catch them.
That's where I find that
they are slipping though. Sorry, Kaz, but Newcastle are slipping. They've lost and drawn a game back to back. They've got Brighton at home next. Now they are favourites to beat Brighton at home. Liverpool win tonight and Brighton take points off Newcastle. I think Liverpool are going to grab that last spot. And I was looking back at my final prediction of the season, and it was City in first, Arsenal second, United third, and I threw Liverpool in fourth. That could end up happening. And that would be the first time ever on the Football Terrace I predicted the top four right. Normally, because you get 2 or 3 teams that let you down, right?
That might be the worst in history. I can't lie.
You had Chelsea.
Let's not remember though.
Yeah, go on.
Let's remember though, Terry, that the whole season you threw that prediction out the window and said, "No, Arsenal are winning it. Arsenal are winning it."
Yeah. In terms of winning it, we will get on. Let's not kill later's content. I will be addressing that. And I definitely said in like November, I thought Arsenal were going to go on and do it, and in January and February. But in terms of that prediction there, like I remember when I said Liverpool, I still think might sneak it in January. Again, it's one of those weird, it got laughed at, and I don't really understand why it was laughed at. It might miss out narrowly, but we're talking as if Liverpool are going to finish 15, 20 points off the top 4. Again, I had this conversation. My brother rang me last night, and he's like, "What?" My brother doesn't do social media. He's like, "I don't understand the way everyone talks to each other on there." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, if you predict, I don't know, Arsenal to come 5th, and they just miss out or they just do better than it by a point or two, because people act like you've made the worst prediction in the world." I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like, it doesn't matter how narrow or close these things are. But yeah, look, Liverpool could do it. I think Newcastle just need to beat Brighton in the next game. If they don't and Liverpool win tonight, honestly, I think Liverpool will pip them, because they had that great form a few games ago and it's just dropped off a little bit. Maybe, the last 2 or 3 games pressure might creep in on these guys. So yeah, from my point of view, I'm excited about this little run in now in the top 4.
I feel like we learned a valuable lesson as well. Maybe as fans, can pinpoint to it. Gats has been onto it about Man City all season long, and Arsenal fans ain't full of it. It's the business end of the season. When it comes down to the end of the season, pressures. What teams do we know to go and get the job done? Man City and Liverpool. And I know Liverpool have missed out on the title, typically, obviously, but they still know how to get the job done. They've been doing this for many a time for the last few seasons. So, and that's what it comes down to. And as you just referred to, Newcastle, this is their first time in this running in a long time, so we're gonna have to move on from there and see if they can handle that pressure. And same thing with Man United as well, because it's not like we're accustomed to doing this of recent.
No, I agree. I agree. We've done it a few times, but we've also missed out. And Liverpool, just their players, I don't think we'll be going into these last 3 games for themselves nervous, where I think Newcastle and Man United will be. So
are you saying it reminds you of Leicester?
Sorry?
Are you guys saying it might remind you of the Leicester season? It's back to back where they missed out at the end of the season on the last day. Because Newcastle, if they drop out that late in the season, it's going to be reminiscent of that.
It is. What I would say for Newcastle, though, is although their fans there'll be a gutted feeling, I still think it's still been such a successful year and progression for them. I think Europa League might be better for their development, because it's less pressure of a tournament, less quality of teams, slightly easier to manage and rotate your squad. They'll improve massively in the summer. However, they may view it as, if we get Champions League football, maybe players of the caliber of Rafinha's are easier to go and sign. So yeah, it's a real mixture to see what it is they're going to do. Neeks here says we've never missed out on a top 4 from inside the top 4 at this stage of the season. I didn't know that stat, so that's a great one. That is a great one. There. In relation to the game tonight, how you feeling about it, Jerry? You feel like you'll have enough to beat Leicester, or are you worried about that? That relegation hunger away from at home from them?
It's an interesting one because Liverpool have won a lot of their games, bar obviously Newcastle and Leeds. They've all been at home, so the run we've been on has been a bit skewed. It hasn't been even. So, look, Leicester are poor. I think the thing that aids Liverpool is we're not. If Liverpool don't finish in the top 4. It's been a bad season, but no one's really looking at it and saying, yeah, Liverpool are bankers to get into the top 4. Now we have to hope United drop points, Newcastle drop points. So the pressure's really off the players right now. So for me, I think we beat them. I think it's probably about, I say 2-1. I think it's going to be a 2-1 scoreline. I think Liverpool will have enough to get the job done. And I think that's because there is no pressure at the end of the season. I think we're seeing the confidence of Salah, confidence of Trent now in recent games. But I still think there's going to be like massive vulnerabilities in our defense. I don't think we're, as I said last week on Friday, we're not the finished article at all. So, yeah, I think it'll be an interesting game. But you never know with Liverpool. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if Leicester turn up as well and put in the performance of their lives. And I'd be sat here again just trying to explain to people why this team isn't as good as people think it should be. So, yeah.
I think Leicester win today, I have a sneaky feeling Leicester are going to turn up.
You just said Liverpool get the job done. Now the energy's changing.
No, I never said Liverpool get the job done.
You
I
did,
said
bro.
United and Newcastle will stay in the top 4. I think Liverpool will have a strong end to the season, but something tells me, and yeah, maybe the football gods have spoken to me. They've whispered in my ear and just said, watch out for Jamie Vardy, Harvey Barnes and James Maddison. I just think they're just going to have something at home. They're fighting for their lives. Yeah, I think they're going to win today or tonight. So
Leicester's going to have something in the championship. Let's be honest. Liverpool's going to win. That's the reality.
Nah, they ain't. Trust me.
Liverpool. I feel like when Liverpool are in this form, like they've said, you go into this last final part of the season, which, told Cass about. They brushed it off like it was nothing. But only the big teams know about it. And they go into these deep, deep ocean in the end of the season.
You shouldn't know about it at all.
They get the wins, and they get the job done. And as you know, one team over here, Mr. Bottle Jobs, another team over there, not having a great end to the season. It happens to all of us. And
you know what? You would know a lot about bottling things, so it's fair enough.
How can the biggest bottler?
We're gonna save this one for later.
That's crazy.
Don't worry.
It's crazy though. If Liverpool do manage to get into the top 4, though, I think it's the first time a team's overcome. I think that's a 13 or 14 point deficit to get back into the top 4. So anyone that drops out of the top 4 right now, whether it's Newcastle or Man United, that's a massive bottle as well. We can't hide away from that.
Yeah,
but if it's Newcastle, it will be brushed under the rug because they're not.
Yeah, because of who Newcastle are. Facts. But we still got.
But if it's Man United, it will be bantered because of who they are, of course.
Yeah, of course. So. And this is why there's pressure on Man United against Bournemouth, and there'll be pressure in the Chelsea game. We've got to go and win them. We've got to win these matches because Arsenal fans now are circling like shark, looking for something else to kind of prop up to sort of deflect away from their season. And I understand it. It's a very human thing to do. Liverpool fans, obviously, if they were to, someone said this to me the other day, this would be the most painful way. We finish level on points, but your goal difference, maybe because that 7-0 win is the difference, it will hurt. Suddenly that 7-0 defeat becomes highly significant within the season, barring just the historical factor within it. So yeah, you're right. If Man United miss out, it's a much bigger story than Newcastle missing out. It will be classed by the media as a bigger bottle job than Arsenal's, and rightfully so, because we're the biggest fucking club in the league and one of the biggest clubs in the world. So when it happens to us, that's what I'm proud of to be a Man United fan. That our news stories are bigger. We missed out on a player, it's front page and back page news. Unlike the rest of you, especially City fans here, you guys could get shut down and you might get a mention 4 pages in on the back page. You know what I'm saying? The rest of us, you know what I mean? Jesus, it's big news. Big news.
The good thing is, though,
that's not the reason it would be considered the biggest bottle job.
No,
it would be
because
of the point totals.
It's because of the biggest team. Because we're the biggest team.
It has
the thing is, though,
but you know, you just a minute ago, You just said it's because we're the biggest team without saying it. You said
No,
Newcastle.
it's
Hang on,
not.
let
You're
me
bigger than
finish
Newcastle.
talking.
Yes.
Let me make my point. You said Newcastle to be brugged under the rug because of who they are. They've got more points than we have, or they've got the same points, better goal difference. If it happens to us, it's bigger news. Why? Because we're the bigger club.
Terry, it's because your
Come on,
points.
explain. The points are the same with Newcastle. Why is that bigger than Newcastle?
Okay, I'm having two different conversations here, Terry.
No.
The
We're not having
conversation-
two. We're talking one thing, Igal.
1 second.
If we're on the same points, if we're on the
This
same
is what you
points,
do.
if we're on the
This is
same
what-
points, Igal, why is ours bigger bottle job than
So let
theirs?
me land. You made the point about you being the biggest club, hence why it will be bantered more than Arsenal. Or are you saying Newcastle?
Newcastle, but more than any of you, but it will be.
No, okay. So if you're saying it's because you're the biggest club and it will be bantered more than Arsenal, the reality is the reason why it will be bantered more is one, because you're losing to your biggest rival in Liverpool, overtaking you, and two, you can say it's the size of your club, but the reality is it's also because you have a larger points gap between you and Liverpool.
No, we've got the same points gap as Newcastle because we're on the same amount of points.
No, from the difference from when Liverpool were down there for them to catch up, Terry. It's not about in comparison to Arsenal. I'm not comparing to Newcastle anymore. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not comparing you to Newcastle. I get the Newcastle point.
I'm kind of lost personally. Can you start
Okay, let me
over?
recap. Terry turned this into Newcastle. I've already acknowledged Newcastle. You're a bigger club than Newcastle. It's about club size there.
Newcastle
But when
only
it
a
comes
big club.
to when it comes to Arsenal bottling the league and you guys potentially bottling top four, the reality is the reason why you guys would get bantered a lot because of that is because of Liverpool, the fact of losing it to your rival, and the fact that you had a larger points total gap between them and between us and City.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, get winning the league is bigger than getting top four, right? It's a bigger story, right? It's a bigger achievement.
Okay.
So bottling that bigger achievement is a bigger bottle job. However, because of the size of our football club, the fact that everybody hates us, of course ours is going to be exploded higher. For the same reasons you said that nobody will care about Newcastle not making it and it will be brushed under the carpet because they're not a big club. That's all I was stating there, my friend. So for me,
and I was pointing out the fact that you're losing it to Liverpool makes it a bigger story. It's not about your size of your club only.
Wait, I'm so confused right now. I don't know about you guys at the bottom, Jerry. Now, are you not following or Nobbins even? I'm not.
I think what Igal's trying to
know.
say is saying that the bot will be viewed as bigger because of the points deficit. He's trying to say that it's not to do with the status of Man United as a football club. So
Fair
basically
enough. Yeah,
arguing
that's
that
fair enough.
if it was Chelsea, then Chelsea would be bantered more than United would because of the points deficit, as opposed to it being.
No, you're
Not
going to go.
United
No,
status.
I think if I'm valuing, if I'm coming off that opinion, then Arsenal going to be known for that bowl because of if that's going down in history now as the worst bowl. But to be fair, before that, see the situations before. Oh, this team bottled it this season, that season. Bro, I didn't know that off the top of my head. I'll be honest, that was lost to my memory or anyone's memory until we got put up on Sky Sports.
yeah. I mean,
It's
look,
done.
from my point of view, like throwing away top four will be painful. It would hurt me a lot less than when my team has bottled some league titles that we've missed out on in the past. Like when we lost, we didn't even have as big a lead. But when we missed out that league title, that Aguero moment, that's hurt me more than ever finishing outside the top four. So people can pretend.
Yeah.
In reality, Arsenal are going to feel more pain than Man United, but we know how the media will spin it 110%. We've got a super chat here that says, hi, Kaz, love your opinion. Love your opinion for a safety. Please don't go on DR Sports. We've not even drawn a single away match in your presence on DR
Yeah, we
Sports.
did. Yeah, we did because against Tottenham we drew and we were 2-0 up. I was on DR Sports and we also got a win when I was there on Soccer Saturday, against Wolves. So the other times, yeah, I lost against Sevilla and West Ham. So I'm at, if we want to balance up, I'm doing all right. Like Jay, but like I said, for safety, if you want to pay me £150 to not go on DR Sports, pay me. My PayPal's there, my DMs are there, they're open, and then I will cancel my next watch along just for you, Jay. How about that?
That's what. Yeah, just do it. Pay him to not go on. That's funny. People only remember the winner really after a few years, unless you're one of the clubs who come close. If there are fans, remember.
I don't agree with that. I think people always remember bottle jobs. I think Liverpool 13-14. Everyone remembers that season. Everyone literally
is bantered now. 10 years later,
it's still sung. We still sing the Gerrard Slip song. Like, so that I don't agree with that at all.
That's
People love a loser.
Famous
Yeah,
song,
but that's
James?
because you ain't got really like a lot of songs to sing, though, innit? It's just like sit, and that's about
No,
it. So,
to be
like,
fair,
do you know what I
I
mean?
think
I
you're
hear
thinking
it. I
of Chelsea.
hear
I
it.
think you're thinking of
Nah,
Chelsea. I'll have you know.
they got lots of songs. To be fair,
We've
you
got a
should
great
know that
repertoire.
Cat sings them on stream pretty much every single stream.
It's going to be an interesting run. Interesting run. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Viewers, make sure you've hit the like and the share button. A big talking point today, though, that's come up, gents. I want to speak to the Spurs fans. Actually, get called out here in the super chat. Said Spurs fans talking to any club on this panel is much like a dog barking, loud and noisy, but very meaningless. Total sensible points equals 0. Trophies equals 0.
In what respect of the sensible points? I think everything I've said so far has been sensible. It's so weird that people try and dig me out for being a Spurs fan, like I don't have a valid opinion and I can't talk about football. It's so weird.
Bro,
Yeah.
I had a City fan commented on a video yesterday, and honestly, I'm not a City fan, but it made me cringe so hard my kidney nearly fell out my arsehole. Where he said that everyone should listen to City fans because we've got the best team. It makes our football knowledge the best.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm like, okay,
Genius logic.
Again, let's expand that logic further. That means you always have to listen to every Liverpool and Man United fan. None of you have an opinion because historically we're superior. That's what I meant, honestly. But people think this, bro. That's actually how a lot of people
it's
think.
crazy.
Crazy to me.
With all due
That's what
respect,
I was gonna say in
Go on,
response
go
to
on.
that super chat. Clearly, he has to do some research because trophies are much more than 0. If you do your research, you know we're one of the biggest clubs in England and one of the biggest clubs in Europe for a reason. So, do your research, my friend.
There we go. But Kill, thanks for the super chat, bro. Thomas Frank to Tottenham is a real story that's come up today, and I've kind of paid it a bit of attention because, like I want to say this in the right way.
Where do you want to be as a club?
say what you think, Terry. Don't be political.
No. I'm not being political. I'm trying to get my words right. So
Because
you've said no. According to your journalist, you've said no to Nagelsmann. Poch is obviously going back to Chelsea. Thomas Frank? I don't think that's a bad appointment.
I think that's an L for Thomas Frank.
But it's a. You think it's an L for Thomas Frank?
That's a
That's an
brilliant
L for
appointment for
Spurs.
Spurs if they can get that. That's amazing.
He's got something good going on now. I think.
No,
can I
foolish,
chip in? Can the Spurs fan
You know what I mean?
chip in, please? And
Go on.
listen, this whole Thomas Frank thing. Thomas Frank is a decent coach. He's done a fantastic job at Brentford. I like him, but for Spurs, it just shows that there's no direction. There's no leadership. We don't know what we're doing. We're going from one coach that coaches one way to another profile of a coach who coaches another way. There's no plan. There's no synergy. We don't know what we're doing. And Thomas Frank is another flavour of the month. He's had a good season. Brentford are going to finish in the top 10 for the first time in their history. Fantastic. The guy's done wonders, from where they came from. But if you look at Enrique, Nagelsmann, Pochettino, whoever else we've been linked to, De Zerbi, Arne Slot, there's so many different names and they're all completely different types of coaches. And it just goes to show there's no plan, there's no direction. This whole, let's pull away from Nagelsmann before, the PR and comms got that completely wrong. Just man up and own it. You don't have the direction, or you don't have the nous, or you don't have basically you're not able to offer a top coach what they want to be competitive and to really want to take ownership of a club. So just own that and just say, this is what we're doing now, and we're going to go with an up and comer. We're going to go with a nobody or somebody that's not proven their stripes, like what's his name, the ex Xabi Alonso, for example. I'm not shitting on Xabi Alonso. He might be a good coach in the future, but the guy is not it right now in terms of coming into a big club. But if that's the direction they want to take, fair enough. But come out and own it and say it. Let the fans know what's going on. Actually communicate to the fans so that we know where we stand. Because right now, the messages are so mismatched and no one knows what's going on. And it's just another joke. It's just another Nuno part 2, where it's going to be 60, 70 days. We're talking to all these different coaches, but we're not able to actually entice any good coach to come through because they know what's what after having a proper conversation with Daniel Levy. And it's just a no. So it's embarrassing. And obviously people are going to laugh and throw their digs. And fair enough. Like, sometimes you can't defend the undefendable. And I can't defend what's going on right now. It's just shambles from top to bottom. And it's embarrassing. And it hurts. Like, being a Spurs fan and seeing the potential of the club and where we could be if it's been managed right to where we are right now. it's a sinking ship. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Let me ask you guys an honest question. What do you have to offer to a Nagelsmann or Enrique to actually take a chance on your club?
The thing is, like, Egal, like, this is where
No
Egal,
banter, dead serious.
Patrick pretty much touched on this. We don't have a direction at the moment, so what we have to offer is
Nothing.
pretty much nothing. Not right now. Apart from money, we're offering you money, and we're not offering direction.
He's laughing. No banter, but he's laughing, isn't it?
No,
I
because
know a
his
gal always does
answer's
this. The
funny.
thing is, we can't have serious conversations with a gal because a gal will say, "Oh, I'm not trying to throw a shot," and then you throw a shot. If you're having a serious
No, I'm not trying to
serious
throw a shot,
conversation,
but his response
well,
is
you
funny
are.
because I would wonder if you have anything to offer, but then you're expecting the top managers. If you have nothing to offer, you
The
can't
thing
expect
is,
top
though,
managers. You have
Gal,
to settle.
top managers
You have
come
to
in and
settle for
top
what you
managers
can,
come
what
in
you
and
can
shape
take.
clubs, and that's what we need. We need a manager to come in and put some shape into this club, bring some of their values and put that onto the team. Because at the moment, as you can see, we don't have a director of football, we don't have a manager, we don't really have a clear squad of players which you can look at and say,
Right now.
"Oh, these are some players that are going to take us forward." So we need someone to come in who's going to give us that clear direction, put some values into this club, and show where we're going to be taking this club. Bringing in a manager like Thomas Frank, for me, you're showing the direction, and the direction is to continue being a mid-table. Because bringing in Thomas Frank, as good as he's done, as you've mentioned, he's getting Brentford into the top 10 for the first ever time. Wow, that's great on him. Sean Dyche done that for Burnley. Luis Enrique done it with not Luis Enrique. Roberto Martinez done it with Everton. It doesn't make them great managers. It doesn't make you a great coach. People can do it with teams that aren't that good, but you need to do it consistently. We need someone that's proven. I want my manager to take me back into the Champions League. I need my manager to take me to a trophy and bring in a Thomas Frank.
Before you guys got Pochettino, did you think that was the guy? What proof did you have there to go and be like, yeah?
Was
because at Southampton was a similar thing.
I was literally going to say
but
that.
you saw the Southampton team, they were doing very well. For one day, I think they finished 8th and they were competing and they were beating a lot of the big clubs. He had a good, really good talent.
Was that the Etihad?
Yeah, they had really good talent idea, and I just feel like they were doing all the right things. Part was Southampton as a culture, the club. He was bringing through the young players and so on. Thomas Frank's doing a good job. I just don't think he's ready for Tottenham personally. Yeah. I think a manager like Arne Slot, as you said, Ruben Amorim, Luis Enrique, someone like that who
you go for De Zerbi?
And De Zerbi would be amazing, but I just don't think that. I think
a downgrade for him.
Brighton, they have a very good project.
Can I ask a question though? Like Thomas Frank, 2 years in the Prem. Yes, it's the highest that they've ever been. But if you look at the budget difference here, Brentford's new stadium costs about the same amount as you guys pay for Richarlison. So in terms of the money that your club has in comparison, do you not feel that with the right money and the right investment, you think about the way he gets Brentford playing football with a shoestring budget in comparison to Tottenham's? You're one of the biggest spenders in Europe over the last decade. I think you're in the top 4 or 5 spenders in Premier League history. Sure, like, what is it about him that you don't... I mean, is it a case of you think he might be a bit of a Graham Potter, like when he went to Chelsea, too big for him? At the same time, I remember people saying that about Eddie Howe.
David Moyes, Man United.
Yeah, it could be David Moyes to Man United, but equally, you've got Eddie Howe that's gone to Newcastle, and look what he's done inside 18 months with the financial backing. What is it about Thomas Frank that you just don't think is good enough?
Just doesn't appeal to me, to be honest. Doesn't appeal to me, and I just don't think the profile of him is good enough. And Jerry, you made a point about Pochettino back when he came in. That was a long time ago. We as a club have meant to evolve since then. We've moved to a new stadium. We spend a lot more on signings and transfers. We don't have that, shadow hanging over us where we can't sign players. The profile of the club has significantly risen since then. So why would we be going backwards and getting a manager like a Thomas Frank? For me, it's a big L, and it's something that we shouldn't be doing. We should be going for a decent manager, like George is saying. And the reason why managers don't want to come here is because of Daniel Levy. Whatever happens in that terms of those meeting boardrooms, FaceTime calls, whatever it is, meetings on Zoom or WhatsApp or chats, whatever it is, things are breaking down because when they ask Daniel Levy, what are you offering me? What have I got to spend? What profile player can I bring in? The answers are not good enough for these coaches to come in. So until Daniel Levy leaves, which I've been saying for years, nothing's really going to change. But in the meantime, Thomas Frank, no, he's not. I'd rather go for De Zerbi. And I know, what is it?
We're saying no, anyways.
Nobin said it's a step down, it's a downgrade. Come on, let's be real. If you're looking at Brighton and Tottenham, there's no comparison in terms of the team and what's going on. But yes, Brighton do play fantastic football, and they are a better team than Tottenham right now. But if you're looking at it from a manager's standpoint, it is a step up, and it is a transformation to the club.
It's got to be Roger Schmidt, the Benfica coach, or maybe Ruben Amorim, someone in Portugal, even a Porto coach.
No, but even that, Kaz, right? If you look at when Thomas Frank came in 2016 as assistant manager to Brentford. He's been there for like 7 years now, and he's able to go and transform the team. They've lost players along the way, the likes of Ollie Watkins, Ben Rama, all these players that have gone and left, and have still managed to go and progress year on year. Now, of course, it looks mad because Tottenham are obviously got the new stadium, have spent more money on players. I mean, Kane's a different profile of player than he was back when Pochettino was there, of course. But you might have to go and adopt what Arsenal did and go forwards, because someone like a Thomas Frank has proven that he's someone that can introduce a culture into a club. Now, of course, Levy's the issue, like we know that. So you have to work within that, because Levy doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. But you need a manager that can instill a culture. Now, De Zerbi, for how well he's done, that culture was already there at Brighton because Potter was doing well. So De Zerbi's coming in. It's like they've got the culture, and these managers can be a plug and play. You need a manager that becomes the culture of the club. And I think when I look around, I don't know how many managers are out there that are proven in regards to being in the Prem that can offer you that. Now, of course, you can get a Ruben Amorim and stuff.
He done a culture in Lisbon. He done that himself.
Honestly,
I agree. I agree with what you're saying, JJ. But that is the big point: is we can't have a manager for me like Thomas Frank, who's been managing at a small club with a small budget, making do with what he gets given. That's what Daniel Levy does to managers, and they're not happy about it. You bring in another manager like that, he might make do with what he's been given, and it's not going to be as well as a manager that comes in, instills a culture, demands things, maybe not as much like Conte, but someone that's going to come in and be like, I need a player of this profile, and we're going to make it happen. It's going to be players, and they're going to be big players. We're a big club. We need to sign some big players, not all the time, but I need someone with European pedigree. I need someone who's gone out there in the European stage of football and shown me something. Because
I think you just answered your own question there, though, George. You just answered your own question, because you just said then, what is Spurs right now as a club with Daniel Levy? They're a club who don't like to spend a lot of money and like to work within budget. That's what Frank is. That's therefore why we can't have Frank. That's exactly why you should have Frank. If Spurs as a club right now is, we're not going to go out and spend big, like City, for example, and we are going to work within a budget. If you're going to accept that reality, then you've got to also accept the source of money like Thomas Frank.
We do spend money, but we spend it wrongly. We spent quite a lot of money. If you look at the signings that we brought in over the last couple of years, in terms of the transfer outlay, it's on par with pretty much most of the big spenders, apart from maybe a Chelsea. But it's just a spending.
Therefore, what you need is a manager who has been at a club which has extremely good track record and experience at spending money well, and Brentford with their Moneyball strategy. If you can bring in Thomas Frank and also the systems that Brentford have taken, that they've put into place, I think that actually is a match made in heaven for Spurs. If Spurs are what they are currently with Daniel Levy. Now, if Levy leaves and the culture changes, then the profile of manager changes. But in terms of what Spurs are right now, I think that's why Thomas Frank is actually one of the most perfect appointments you could make.
That's why I love Ten Hag, man. Exactly that.
Ten Hag is an exciting signing. I don't think Tottenham are going out and going to go sign an exciting manager at this point. They've missed out on some of these guys, and it seems like you are right, Patrick. It's going to be a Nuno situation, but who's to say that it doesn't end up better than it did the last time with Nuno? You get a manager in with low expectations, and he builds the squad up and does similar to what Pochettino does. And if that's what ends up happening, that's probably better off for you guys in the long run, because another top manager comes in and tries to just prolong what's going on at Tottenham. It might continue to keep you guys in the same state and not actually rebuild you guys the way you need to be rebuilt with another manager.
No, I think regardless of who comes in, whether it's a top manager, a no-name manager, someone in the middle, a rebuild is needed. Everything needs to be ripped up. You're saying if it happens like Poch, but that's us getting lucky. What I'm trying to say is that there's no direction, there's no strategy. So there's so many things that are wrong. So even the manager coming in, yes, of course, that's a major thing, but there's no director of football. There's no one pulling the strings above. We're hearing Donna Cullen's name. We're hearing Daniel Levy's name. We've got one of the most, we're run by billionaires. We're not a cash-strapped or cash-poor club. We're the 8th richest club in the world at the moment. So the money's there. It's just what, for whatever reason, we're not spending it rightly. We're not, there's, the infrastructure, everything needs to be ripped up. But the names that I'm hearing every other day, none of them excite me. For
Patrick,
me,
who's your favorite?
it was Pochettino, Nagelsmann, and then Marcelo Gallardo. Those are the three that I've been saying for the longest time. Obviously, two now look like they're done. So for me, go and get Marcelo Gallardo. Go and push the boat out and get him. He's available. He's a top manager. He's not linked to any other clubs at the moment. He's available, and he will come in and change the culture. He will come in and install. But the thing is, we're Tottenham. We need to be realistic as well and understand what we want to do. Because if a top manager comes in and says, you know what, I think Harry Kane, for us to really go again and for me to build the club in my image, we need to sell him. Would Daniel Levy agree to that? And this is the problem that probably I feel a Nagelsmann and Enrique are having these conversations behind closed doors. And they're saying, this is what I want to do. This is my this is what I envision. This is how I want to shape the team. And because Daniel Levy's thinking, I don't want to take a hit on this guy. I don't want to take a hit on that guy. But a rebuild is needed. So if that means getting rid of Kane and Son, or whoever it is, Emerson Royale, whoever he feels is an asset, do it so that the manager can go again and we can actually build something. Because right now we're just withering away and we're 7th now, might finish 8th next year, unless major changes are happening. It's the same again. So I'm actually bored of it now. I'm sick and tired of this shit. I just need to see some sort of action. It's true, like I'm actually sick of it. Like, to be linked up to Thomas Frank and to have guys on here say that's a good shout, that just shows you where the club's at. It's embarrassing, man. Honestly, it's crazy.
I don't know. I understand everything you've said, and someone in the comments earlier said, "Oh, Terry, but you said Graham Potter would be good." That was a prediction that I made, and it was wrong. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna ever think that any other manager that's managing those mid-table teams is going to be good, because there was one player that pretty much 90% of people expected to do much better at Chelsea than he did. It kind of happens. I understand everything that you've said, but I also feel like there could be an element in there of kind of, I don't want to say cutting off your nose to spite your face, but I think I really rate him as a manager. But if he goes in and the fan base don't want him from day one, he's better off not taking it, because you're fighting an uphill battle instantly. The question just is, who would be the guy for you? Who would be the individual then that would get your juices flowing, Patty?
I said it already. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. I said Pochettino. Obviously, that's not happening. I said Nagelsmann, and I think most of the fan base agreed with that one. Young, trendy, if that's what you want to call it, plays fantastic football, yada, yada, yada. That's not happening. Marcelo Gallardo. And if we can't get him, I think De Zerbi, if I pronounced it wrong, he's a great manager. Those are the guys that would get me excited. But Terry, you know what? You made a good point. And sometimes I feel maybe we are a bit too stuck up in certain points, because we spoke about Min-Jae on Friday, and I said if he would have came over from the Turkish league, a lot of Spurs fans would have said, "Oh, why are we signing him for? Who is he?" Now he's gone to Napoli and tore it up. Everyone wants him, and it's almost the same with Eddie Howe. Imagine if Tottenham would have went for Eddie Howe when Eddie Howe was sacked after Bournemouth. Again, a lot of Spurs fans would have said, "What are we doing there? Why are we going for him?" So maybe you are right in the sense of a lower tiered manager, but I just
personally think these lower tiered managers, they're used to having no pressure. Eddie Howe went to Newcastle, there wasn't that much pressure on him. It's just do your best. Just do your best and we'll see where it goes. And come to Tottenham, it isn't just do your best. It's you have to do your best or you're going to get sacked. Tottenham sack managers. We go through managers like Chelsea, similar to them. We have a standard in our club which we set, and once it isn't reached, we're not going to give them too much time and get rid of them. So bringing in these smaller managers, small tier managers, I think that's the fear that they have. And like Terry said, he's going to come in and he's going to have everyone wanting him out from day one. He's not good enough. He ain't ready for the job. And then he's just going to be working an uphill battle. We need someone that's going to come in where the fans are going to get behind and unite, and they're going to build something. And it doesn't need to be a massive name. Like a gal said, there really isn't that many big names out there, but it needs to be an established manager who's already been playing on the European level, which is the Champions League and Europa League, and they've done something. Look at Aston Villa doing with Unai Emery. An amazing turnaround this season. And he's a manager with pedigree. He's a manager when he came into when he turned down a Newcastle job, a lot of people were surprised. And when he came into Aston Villa, you knew he was going to do business. And we need someone like him to come in and to take over this club.
I get you there. We have some super chats right into Spurs. First one says, Poch is a fraud, managed in England for nearly a decade and won nothing. A nothing manager. I don't get the hype.
This guy's crazy. Poch is a top manager, and I don't want him to do well at Chelsea. Of course I don't. But the guy's a good manager, man, and more than likely he will do well there. So yeah, I don't know about that one. I mean, Pochettino, you know, a lot of, and funny enough, this Arsenal fan saying this, the Tottenham team that finished 2016, 2017, if you look at that actual, you know, in terms of the points tally, goals scored, the style of play is quite similar to this Arsenal team. And they finished second and on 86 points. And yeah, for you to call him a fraud, but then to laud Arteta, it's a bit funny, in my opinion.
Spurs fans make no sense. You want a manager with European experience, but yet you hated on your last 3 managers with European experience. Get Frank, press the reset button, is what Joshua Jack says here. Getting a director of football and a manager means nothing, because as long as Daniel Levy is in charge, nothing will ever change. Candidates know this, as what's been said there. Bison B says all Spurs fans worry about is managers. You should be more focused on your director of football and board. They are the ones who will change the culture and the manager. And I think it's kind of been alluded to by in recent weeks.
I think I touched on that, Bison. I think I talked about that in my rant.
Okay. There's a guy here that says, how are Spurs fans feeling that their legend is going to their fierce rivals to make them a European powerhouse again? How do you guys feel about Poch going to Chelsea? Does it hurt?
I want to talk about Harry Kane talking about going to Man United. We're not their fierce rivals. That pin.
No,
I thought it was all
it hurts. It definitely hurts, but
Poch is not like he's not a legend though.
It only hurts because we were looking for a manager at the same time. We need the manager. We need someone that can come in and change our club. But no, he's gonna go to Chelsea. I think he will do a good job, and that's what hurts, because I really do think if this is the job that he'll prosper in his best, and I feel like it's the club that job that will take him to the next level. So I think that he's going to be successful there, and yeah,
I hear you.
Chelsea's going to sack him anyways. You can have him back in like a year.
Can I just say something as well?
Yeah,
when Poch does sign, with all due respect, is fuck Pochettino, and everything that I felt for the guy is done. I'm not going to be one of these guys that's going to be diplomatic and Poch, I wish you the best and all of that. For you to sign to one of our fiercest rivals after everything you said in the book that I've got, Brave New World, and he said, you know, the only teams or clubs that he feels are enemies to Tottenham are Arsenal and Chelsea, and then for you to go and sign for them after having all these discussions in previous years as well, it's snaky, it's horrible, it's disgusting. And yeah, I understand we never reached out to him, we never gave him a phone call, but still, you don't go to Chelsea if you actually, if the things that you said were true about how you deemed the club and how you respected the fans and how you loved it, you don't go to Chelsea. So
the thing is, though, let's be real.
Fuck you, Pochettino.
If he doesn't do well at Chelsea, you won't
When you're
care.
in a relationship with someone, you're giving them the sweet talk. You're talking the nice things. Once it's over,
Yeah, don't do that, man.
But managers lie, though, Patty. This is why I always say to you guys, like, everyone loves their manager when they're in. Oh, he says the right things, does the right things. Only a handful. You probably got Wenger with. I don't think Wenger. I know he's pretty much retired now. He'd never go to a competitor. Fergie would never have gone to a City or a Liverpool because there was a genuine affection for the club.
They've got integrity. They've got integrity.
Yeah, but
there's no integrity.
But most don't. But most managers don't. Most players don't. There's a rare amount that do have that integrity where they love a club to the core. For most people, this is profession. But if fans weren't so obsessed with their managers saying the right things in press conferences and the PR, then none of this would be a problem. But we're all obsessed. Please say the right things. Please say the right things, as I'll cry. I'm 38 years old, but I'll cry if you don't say the right thing. Oh, if you don't pick up that green and gold scarf, I'm going to hate you. Shut up. Doesn't matter if he does or he doesn't. He ain't in control. But we have some breaking news, people. We have some breaking news. Reverend Grant has just been seen leaving a hotel in Mayfair owned by the family of Sheikh Jazim. And at the same time, and I know you'll respect this journalist, Gal, when I say it, Chris Wheatley, a very respected journalist,
Man United journalist,
has just stated that Sheikh Jazim is said to be preparing a new and final offer of £6 billion to purchase Manchester United. And this bid should surpass that of Sir Jim Ratcliffe's. So, Abraham, he may just be staying at the hotel by chance. It might just be the best hotel in Mayfair, but it happens to be owned by the family of the Qataris, who, according to Chris Wheatley, are about to bid a world record fee, the biggest takeover in the history of sports. And honestly, I'm feeling like getting that oil out right now and rubbing myself up. Oil money could be on its way. It won't trend like Sejim in it, where rivals will play it down. But how do you feel about that, Kaz Marmaka?
It don't mean shit. Yeah, I don't. Until look, I'm tired of this shit. I can't lie, I'm bored. Until I see Lawton Times or one of them lot talk about it and the Rain Group talk about it, then I'll believe it. I think Chris Wheatley, everyone knows when it comes to Man United, there's a few journalists that you look towards. I know he works, I think, for the Mirror or something like that as well. Like, he's actually a respected journo, but you know, that could have been speculated. Like, was he in the hotel? I don't think he was. So, in my opinion, it's like, again, like you said, we don't know if he's preparing a £6 billion bid.
Well,
that could be,
what I will say,
just like all the Sir Jim Ratcliffe lot a few days ago. That's why I didn't indulge into it.
But again, the problem is people don't read the whole article. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day about people's inability nowadays to read articles. Do you know what people do? They read the headline, they read the first paragraph. Once human beings, 87%, they believe, because they're able to tell by, you know, that they have computers when they test people that follow people's eyes when they read things, and they've tested this. 87% of people, once they get to a passage or a sentence where they know, I already know that, they stop reading and they turn off. I don't know about you guys, you read articles, you get to a bit where you think, I know all this already, you stop reading. The Times article on Friday, which got everybody going, it's going to be Sir Jim, also stated, but we've been told that Qataris are preparing a bigger bid. The Express have already said it. Now Wheatley said, that's 4 or 5 journalists have all stated this. Plus, Al Jazeera stated 2 weeks ago, the bid's open and fluid and we'll increase it if we need to. So I get your point. You're bored of it. I'm not. I love the sales process. This is the brilliant.
I hear it. No, I know when loads of people are saying it, I hear it. But at the same time, it's like the way I look at it, and this is why I still got the Qatar flag in my. If anyone knows Arabs, they don't lose. So they're just waiting for all I know, they're waiting for Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid, and they're just going to top it every single time until they win. Arabs don't lose. That's why they own half of London. That's why they own half of the newspapers as well, pretty much, or got some sort of investment into it. That's why Miguel Delaney's a shameful prick. That's why all sorts of stuff is going on. That's why I'm not really that fussed at the moment. They'll win if they have to, by any means necessary. And it's not sustainable for what Ratcliffe wants to do. Like, obviously with the club, and especially with the fan base, knowing that the Glazers are going to be around. So until I actually see something really official, I'm not really going to get excited about it. I can't be asked.
I hear you. Rivals, what do you make of this?
Oh, I've got to go, unfortunately.
Cheers, Patty.
Yeah, take care. See you later.
Cheers, mate. Tom's joining us now. Yes, Rivals, what do you make of this new bid or potential new bid?
I'm not surprised. It doesn't seem like journalists actually know what's going on with the Manchester United bid. A lot of it is hush-hush, and every single day I keep hearing different stories. So whenever I hear Jim is favored or the Qataris are favored, I really don't even give it a reaction anymore. I'm just waiting to see who's holding up the shirt. And I feel like a lot of people are, because it's been going on for so long, and it's going to go on for a long time. It's not, selling a club is not something that happens like that. Only Chelsea, it happened like that because they had to sell the club.
It didn't really. It took ages. Remember, it took to the end of May to get it done, and people thought that Chelsea might even have a next window.
All I know is if you guys go into the transfer window and come out of the transfer window without new owners, it's going to affect your season next season. So let's see how that works. That's what I'm waiting for, to see if it affects your transfer window.
See, I don't think it will, because United are working on deals already. Both Sir Jim and the Qataris, within their bid, have made it very abundantly clear that they don't want to make any drastic changes into the recruitment teams, the management. So business as usual. Man United have employed new people at like kind of recruitment level. That's operating as normal. I think they've all looked at what happened at Chelsea, where they made changes in those areas at the beginning of a summer and really messed up. It would be catastrophic to new owners to come in the middle of July and go, right, kicking everybody out and we're starting again from scratch. That was more a problem than not having the new owners in ready now for me. You keep things going and you make those changes, not too slowly, but I wouldn't make those changes day one, because you're wrong.
Yeah, don't do a Todd Bowley.
Yeah. The worst thing we could do is get rid of everybody at board level, as in the Glazers will all go. I mean, I'm talking the football decision makers. Get rid of them all. Go, right, Ten Hag, we want a new manager. We're going to change it. You don't kind of break something up that isn't broken already. So I'm not too worried about that. We're linked to players. last summer, remember, everyone's United got no money. The whole of last summer, every journalist said we had 100 million to spend. Remind me what we spent again, 208 million. So everyone's saying again,
but that's because of a credit takeout back in May, though, 200, and I think it was around 250 in credit loan from the Glazers because,
yes,
you know,
I understand. I understand that's where they finance the money from. But every summer we're told there's no money. There is money at Man United. Players are being sold. I'm just not personally stressed about that from a finance standpoint. But there we go. That is the breaking news on that, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know what you think and feel in the comment section. Make sure like buttons have been hit as well. I know a lot of you, by the way, have super chatted in about Arsenal. We'll get to that when we get to the Arsenal section of the show. So don't you worry about that, Staffy and Shan and other people. This year,
an apology, by the way. I'm waiting still.
This here says the league when Poch finished second was miles weaker than it is now. Leicester won the league for F's sake. Arteta has also won a major trophy. That was in response to saying that Arteta
didn't Tottenham finish third that year.
Oh, hi, Tom.
We finished third that year, and we finished second
the year after.
Second the year after, weren't it? Against that Chelsea team.
I actually forgot the Spurs come second one year. I actually totally forgot.
17, 16, no?
16, 17, yeah.
There we
16,
go.
17, yeah, you know what I mean.
But the big question I've got for you all today, the big question we've got today is what's gone wrong at Arsenal? As in, I've seen a lot of stuff get said. We're going to talk about the game first of all. We'll talk about the game and then we'll move on to the season at large. Dismantled, really, yesterday by Brighton. Absolutely. And for a home game as well, considering how imperious Arsenal have been there, it was a battering for all intents and purposes. Was that down to Brighton being just outright better? Or Arsenal's minds just gone, switched off? City won and they just felt maybe they couldn't. Like, what was it down to? Just tactics or mentality? A bit of both? What we saying?
Bro, the guys just gave up, man. They gave up. It seems like they ran out of steam. Honestly, they didn't show any effort. They didn't show any heart. And like, we can say all the analogies that we want, but to have Brighton come to your house and outpossess you to the possession that we had, for them to continuously in the first half, I don't think I even remember a decent chance that we had. And it seemed like there was a goal that was never going to come in the game. We could have played 180 minutes and we were never going to score in that game. I look at Mikel Arteta and I say, what could you have done different to change the game, to make it go in our way? Because it kind of seemed like he just let the game go on and on and on until they scored. And then when they scored, he's like, oh, I have to change something now. And when he made the change, we conceded immediately after that. So it's like, he could have been more proactive. And a lot of the main players, where were you guys? Like, they weren't really showing up. They didn't do anything. So we just got to take it on the chin, brush it off and move on. But it's a worrying sign that we fall apart the way that we have in the business end of the season.
I thought Brighton were very good, though. I think you've got to give Brighton a lot of credit. I thought they came there with a plan.
Hey,
and they showed once again how good a team they are.
You didn't know. You didn't.
I gave Brighton credit by saying they lost us in our field. They outclassed us.
3 wins in a row at the Emirates. You need to start paying them rent for your own property.
Nothing new, though.
You need to start paying them rent. They own property on your stadium.
I would mention that, since Brighton's been in the Premier League, every time they come to the Emirates, you already beat them once in like six times as well. So they are really your bogey team. So it's nothing actually new if we're really deep in it. And them fixtures matter. It's like going to certain stadiums you just can't win at. Man City, Tottenham. There's many examples. Man United, Liverpool.
I don't think it comes down to that. I think it's more or less, we also have to look at what happened going into this game. Can we be honest? They just lost to Everton in an embarrassing fashion, and they had to bounce back in order to continue their season going. And we just witnessed Man City go and dispatch Everton, and it kind of does deflate you. I really do believe, call it excuses, call it whatever you want, but the team kind of looking and saying, you know what, now there's no more chance. They're kind of like, you know what,
that's the difference though, between a consistent challenger. How many?
That's unacceptable.
I can only go off.
I know it's
my
unacceptable.
Team have done.
I'm not happy.
My team had that for 2 seasons.
Like what happened.
Are you deflated?
My team had that for 2 seasons where Man City played before you, and they keep pushing that gap forward. But you can't sit there and go, "Oh, Man City have won again." Oh, what?
Bro, it's annoying.
That's
what happened. That's what happened.
I want to ask you this question.
One second. There's a difference between an excuse and what actually happened. What actually happened is you've seen the team's performance. They didn't look like they give the shit. They came out there and their performance was of the team that seen that Man City just won their game against Everton, and their performance showed that that it looked like there was nothing they could do. They can't drop down anymore. They're fully on the beach. That's what it looked like.
No, but we need to highlight what has changed, because let's be real here. I've told you, we've had these conversations. I've said you've not got the cojones. Your team in these moments, they do not have the mental fortitude. They're not mentality monsters. That they're not there. And as that your friend said, the one who you had a big argument with, they're pussies. The Arsenal players have showed time and time again when there's a lot of pressure on them.
Every team in the
when
league,
there's a lot of pressure on them, they crumble like no other team, other team in the Premier League. As Terry was saying at the start of the season, this is the best ever start from a team. No team has ever not won the league in Arsenal's position. You guys had a 9-point gap, and then still you have in the last 21 points, your last 7-1 games, you've only got 9 points. Egal. This is the team that you told me was going to get the job done. You said these boys are ready. They're not the same boys that were playing last season at Newcastle, but yet again, it shows that they are. And if not, they are just as bad. They may have improved football-wise, but mentality-wise, this is going to hurt them just much more, because at home, you lost the title at home. You talk about all these times when you've won the title, you lost it at home. When you should have beat Brighton.
It was lost before the game even kicked off.
It was not lost before the game.
Listen, do you realize mathematically there was nothing we could do from now until the end of the season besides just trying to keep up with them. We really and truly lost it at Liverpool. We should have won against Liverpool. We should have continued winning, and we had to continue winning.
But that isn't what you were saying. You still said you had the option. You said it's still in our hands.
Guess what? Hindsight's 2020, and the reality is, looking back at the league table, just going into the game yesterday after they beat Everton, I looked at it and I'm like, if we would have won against West Ham, Southampton, and even against Brighton, and count in the fact that we lost to City, we still would have lost the league if they continue to win every single game for the rest of the season. Is it that Arsenal bottled it? You can say yes, Arsenal bottled the league. Is it that Man City are great? You can say yes. The reality is it's both. The Man City are on a tune where they've won 11 games in a row, and you can make all the insults and all the name calling that you want about this Arsenal team, but the reality is you then have to put that to every other team below us, because you can't sit here and say, oh, they don't have the mental fortitude, they don't have this, they don't have that. You already knew that going into the league that City were the superior side. We had to play to a higher level to do it, and we're unable to do it.
That's fine, Gal, but hold on. Your team have picked up 7 points from the last 21 possible. 7 from 21.
9, I think.
9 from 21. That's simply not good. You cannot drop 12 points in this position with the team you've got. Yes, with hindsight, if you end up holding out for a win against West Ham and Southampton, you would have been level on points with them and behind on goal difference. But the whole landscape of the game is completely different if you're able to actually hold on to them wins. When I look at it, when you're chasing Man City, all you can do
right all along.
All you can do is stick with them. And hope they drop points. What will happen now if Man City slip up against Chelsea or whoever they've got left?
Matter.
What if they drop points?
It doesn't matter if Man City lose 2 of their last remaining 3 games. They only need 1 win to win the league now. It's done.
Now, because you threw it away yesterday because the players had the worst mentality.
The reality is, Brighton's loss yesterday is the final nail. We've already done the damage. The damage was done. You can't expect to win the league when you lose to City at home. You can't expect to win the league when you drop points against Liverpool,
what's the problem,
against Southampton, against West Ham. I feel like this has been happening.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
There's something that George said a second ago about your players being weak and to quote Brendan, being pussies.
Okay.
And you said that's bullshit. What did you mean by that's bullshit? I'd love you to expand on that, please.
I feel like this is a thing where everyone just throws around every time we lose a game. Are we weak when we're winning these games? Are we weak when we're putting ourselves in these situations? If you want to say they can't handle the pressure and that's why they're weak, what pressure? The reality is, when we lost to City, the pressure was off. They became favorites right away. These guys just had to continue and keep it up. And you want to know something? Once it's normal to see a team when they realize that they can't do any better and they can't do any worse, for them to somewhat be like, you know what, it is what it is. And that's what happened. I don't think it's them being pussies or anything like that. I feel like everyone's just trying to
Okay,
label
so
these guys
so the
with
word-
negative
I
connotation.
get the word pussies is a
Harry, I think it's just they're trying to
Okay,
label the team with a negative connotation.
okay. So let's just change that again. This season has been the season of semantics in football.
Near
I've never seen anything like it.
Okay.
Whether let's not use the word pussies then, because it triggers people. People don't like the word bottle. This year, it's the first time ever I've seen even professional pundits say things like the word bottle triggers me. I don't quite understand it. When Brandon called you guys out for being weak, and I'm just going to use the word weak mentality, he was shot down for saying, no, we are not, because we're in this position. Then you yourself have spoke about it was unacceptable what happened against Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton. But that's exactly what people like Brandon were talking about. Now, I hold my hands up, and I did 3 weeks ago. I know people keep asking if I'm going to apologize for predicting Arsenal to win the league. And I'm not going to apologize ever for getting a prediction wrong. That is a weak attitude. I'm never going to apologize for being wrong. What I will do is hold my hands up and say, I thought you were going to have enough mental strength, mental fortitude to get through this run in. And as I predicted, nick it. Narrowly beat City to this title. And in the end, you've fallen short with 2 games to go. So yes, my prediction's wrong. Is it massively wrong? Like, did you finish like a lot of people predicted in November? You'd finish 15, 20 odd points behind City. You wouldn't be in a title race. No. But ultimately, you've got to hold your hands up and say, I got that wrong. When I listen to you talk, and I want the panel here to tell me if I'm wrong, in one breath, you're having a go at your team for being weak, but then you're saying it's bullshit to call them weak and label them as weak. I'm really confused by that, bro.
Okay. First thing first, I think everyone is ignoring all the other reasons in why this situation has taken place, and then just saying, you know what, they're just weak, and that's why.
So what are those other reasons? And that's what you're here to do, represent your club. You're not really giving us anything.
One, people are going to immediately say it's an excuse that you have injuries and you can't deal with it. Number 2, when I call out the manager and I'm saying he should be making different changes to then get this team more equipped, he didn't make any changes. He continuously kept to play the same team, even though it's sheer insanity to continue to play the same team when there's clearly we need to change. And he made that change going into the Newcastle and Chelsea game, and you've seen it had a little bit of impact. But then when things are going right, Mikel Arteta needs to be looked at and saying, you know what, I need to find ways to continue to keep this going well. And that's where I feel like we lost this based on 2 things. One, injuries hit us in key areas, and we weren't able to adjust and make the adjustments needed. And people are now equating the fact that we weren't able to make adjustments with the team has a weak underbelly and the team is soft. If we were soft, we wouldn't even be in here in the first place. Let me finish. If we were soft after Man City beat us at home, we would have capitulated and let them take it from there. But we continued to fight. And that's
but the thing is, you did. But the problem is, right, is you've dropped points against West Ham. You dropped points against Southampton in games where you were winning.
Explain why.
That's a mentality issue.
It's not a mentality issue if your manager is making a blatant mistake in putting out the same team that just dropped points the week before. You have to make a change.
And
this is where I get onto Arteta.
But those players got you the 2-0 lead, though, Igal. Those players are the ones that got you the 2-0 lead.
This is why it's on Arteta. This is why it's on Arteta. He needs to physically make changes.
So it's a managerial mentality issue.
I agree. There might be an issue with Arteta because he's inexperienced, and at times his inexperience shows. When we're up against Liverpool and we're under the coach, he needed to make his changes sooner. When we had a poor performance against Liverpool going into the West Ham game, you need to identify the issue and not have the same issues happen the next game. For the first 10 minutes, we're up and then we drop off. You can say it's the players, but guess what? If it's consistently happening, and you can see that the manager is not making the changes, it's on the manager. And that's where I hear the manager. Everyone's always putting it on the players.
But it's not on the players. This is the manager, but Igal, this is the manager who's actually tactically gone and evolved this team. He's actually brought these players in that have enabled you to challenge. He's also gone and created the system for you guys to be able to play that way. And that system that he implemented throughout the whole week on the Saturday for you guys to play against West Ham, against Liverpool, against Southampton as well. You guys had the lead in these games, and the problem, and so you have to go and look at the mentality. If you guys had won every single, even with this slip, if you had won every single game up to the end of the season and then missed out in a similar fashion to Liverpool, no one would be sitting there thinking, you know what, Arsenal, they're pussies, they're this. They wouldn't even be throwing that out there, regardless of what adjective you want to use. Ultimately, Arsenal did not go and show the mental fortitude to go and say, you know what, and you said this on Friday. You said it. You were like, we got to come out and win the rest of these games.
We do.
And that's going to set you up for the next season. Right now, what you've gone and proven is forget the players, forget the manager. It's the players. Because the manager's gone and put the trust in these players for them to be able to go and get you to the stage in the first place.
I have to agree with Gal though. I think it is.
I think it's on the manager to find solutions.
I think it's not just the players, but the manager selects those players, and yes, they can let them down in situations. But when it comes down to it, Arteta's got the same way of playing week in, week out, never changes, no variance, nothing. It's the same thing. And towards the end of the season, it will get sussed out. And yes, the players should be doing better. I can't lie. There's no reason why you can't put a bit of effort against Brighton at home. Like there was a lack of intensity and the rest of it. But to be fair, that does come down to Arteta in the end because he selects that team. But I hear you though, JJ, because it is.
But was the same thing not said about Liverpool? Liverpool, they haven't got the strength in depth that City have got. They haven't got the players that they've got. And what did we do? We played the same team week in, week out. Yes, some players got injured, others didn't. But 9 times out of 10, it was that we can list off that team. That's about every single game.
This is my issue with it, right? And Gary Neville got this spot on in a tweet he put out today. When you make predictions, and I said this much earlier on in the season, I don't make predictions based on if you get no injuries, I think we can win, because you have to factor injuries in. You have to factor in, like, you're more likely to get injuries than you are not. That's part of your prediction. It has to be. You don't leave it out. Look, there have been some managerial mistakes. There have been some injuries that have impacted the team. But I believe when the push came to the shove, the manager picking the wrong team, I think, for the Southampton and West Ham game, he should have made changes. There should have been there should have been a reaction from him to say, guys, you threw away a 2-0 lead in a game that we were bossing. And by the way, if you carried on beating Liverpool the way you were that day, it would have gone down as one of the best away performances in Arsenal's history. It was outstanding. That was the day where everyone that had doubted you started tweeting, I was wrong about Arsenal. They're going to win this league. I remember looking at it on the TL and it fell apart. He should have had a knee-jerk reaction, but I think he didn't have the confidence to do it, and he stuck with the team, and it fell apart again. Equally, I do think the pressure came on top for the players, and that's where I can hold my hands up as a man and say, I got that part of the prediction wrong, and it's easy. The interesting thing about you blaming Arteta, though, and again, this isn't a dig, I'm playing devil's advocate, is when there are Arsenal fans out there that want him sacked because they just believe he'll do this again and again because they just don't think he's good enough. Those Arsenal fans get attacked and get vilified and get dragged over the coals. But yet 2 seasons running, Arsenal fans like yourself, Igal, end up saying it's on the manager. Then why don't you at least respect the opinion of people that don't think he's a good enough manager? I understand some of them will use words that will trigger you. They don't use the right adjectives or they're a little bit abrasive with it. But forget like what they're saying. Focus on why they're saying it. And if you think the manager's the problem, how much more pressure should this be putting on his job? If it isn't the players, and it isn't because they've got a weak mentality, it's because the manager wasn't good enough. Surely there must be a lot more pressure on him next year.
There's always going to be pressure on Mikel Arteta, but there will definitely be more pressure on him to compete for the league next season, compete in the domestic cups and try to win a domestic cup, and in the Champions League at least get to later, get into the group stage, get out of the group stages, and at least get further in the knockout rounds. There's going to be massive pressure on Mikel Arteta. It's not going to be a thing where we can accept regression anymore. So based on his own standards, he's raised it to a level, and I got to give him credit. But the reason why I was saying what I was saying is because I feel like everyone's just saying, oh, it's the players' weak mentality. It's not. The reality is you can say it's weak mentality from the players because they've never been here before, but it's on the manager when when there's issues continuously happening for him to change it. And Terry, that's all I was saying. People, if you want to get Arteta out, you can say whatever you want. I'm not going to stop you. And I respect your opinion.
I'm not saying you're going to stop him, but you're part of the group of people online.
The reason being, there's illogical statements.
Gal, you're part of the group of people online this year that have gone for people that have criticized Arteta. Like, how dare you criticize him? Now you're doing the same thing for what they've been doing all along. I don't understand.
No, that's not true, Terry. I've been doing this all season. Whenever Mikel Arteta makes decisions that I feel like impact the team negatively, I point them out. And when he says stuff and he does stuff that impact the team positively, I point it out. What I don't agree with is illogical statements like sack the manager because we didn't win the league this season.
Okay, that's not it. But why is it illogical? If somebody believes, hang on. If somebody believes what you believe, it's the manager's fault, it's gone. and they don't believe that he's ever going to get any better than this, why is it illogical to want him sacked?
Okay. If people don't believe that he's ever going to get better than this, he's proven them wrong once because they didn't think we were going to get top 4 with Mikel Arteta, and he's got us into a title race. So who's to say he doesn't get better, right? One. Number two, they're trying to basically predict the future. I get it that people are going to have their stances, Terry, and there's nothing I can do to change them. Same way people in your fan base want Ten Hag out. You think it's ridiculous, but I honestly do believe it's ridiculous to want Mikel Arteta out at this moment in time after putting a second in the league, challenging for the league. And as much as people want to say it's a failure of a season, get him sacked, they're upset. The reality is this is not a great season, but it's been a decent season. And from where we were last season, all you can say is, you know what, we've made massive improvements, and if we stay on this trajectory, next season will be even better.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Thank you for answering that, Agal. I'm not even trying to catch you out. I just want some straight, direct answers.
And I'm giving you straight, direct answers. Ask me anything now.
You did on that one, Agal, 110%. In terms of the situation with Arsenal, because again, I've had a few people in the comments and stuff like Terry. By the way, just let everyone know, Prime isn't blocked from the football terrace. His account isn't blocked 110%.
Latimus.
No, not Latimer's Prime, like a United fan that comments. 110% he isn't blocked. I don't know why he's saying he's blocked. He's 100% not blocked. He did post a couple of weird posts yesterday, but he also then posts some posts from his second and third accounts. I don't know how many accounts the guy's got, but it's all a bit strange, but he's not blocked. I spoke to my admins and I've asked them not make sure he isn't blocked. He isn't blocked. I've checked it. He's not blocked. I don't know where this has gone on from. Anyway. But there's a lot of talk like me, Jerry, everything you said about them being scary, them being dangerous, them being back was wrong. I don't personally believe that is wrong. And Gary Neville, that everyone's saying is right, is echoing that this has been a very good season for Arsenal. He's not even calling it a bottle job. So if you want to hang on every word that Gary Neville uses, he's saying this isn't a bottle job. He's simply stating it was just one step too far for them. They need to get strong, but essentially they've become title contenders this year and become a scary outfit. My question for the panel is, will Arsenal be back again next year challenging? Will they get better in the summer? Or has the ceiling been met with this manager? I want to get your take as a panel. And just for the viewers that need this explaining to them, that's a question, not my opinion. But yeah, question for you guys. Go for it.
I think they could get better, but the main issue is going to be the fact that this was the year to get City. This was supposed to be City's transitional year with, it's going to take ages for Haaland to adapt to the side and learn all this stuff. And it's only taken half a season or 2/3 of a season, whatever, for basically, I think everyone now agrees, for City to basically totally adapt to this new style of play. Pep's found a new system, which now works, doesn't even use fullbacks anymore. So I actually think that City are going to be better next year. So the issue for me is I think this was the year you had to hit us, and they did for most of the season. What was it, 93% of the season they were leading it? That now obviously hasn't happened. I don't really foresee City getting worse from this point. I think City will probably get more points next season. Do I see Arsenal, doing what Klopp's Liverpool did and actually properly pushing City to like the last day of the season? I don't know. They'd have to have an almost perfect transfer window, I think. And there's also, I don't know what Agal thinks, but there's a fear for me that if I was an Arsenal fan, some of these players, I think that most of Arsenal's players this season has been their best season ever, like in football. So my question is, have most of these players just found a new level, which they will be able to maintain and build upon? Or is this sort of like a flash in the pan situation for some of these players, and will they actually hit that bar? Are they actually going to improve? So that's the question. The transfers have to be borderline perfect. You've also got to hope the City somehow don't actually improve, but I think every sign points to City are just going to improve with Haaland in the side, fully adapted now.
Does anyone think we're not going to improve? Because with the youngest team in the league, with the average age of their players and all of them only getting better as they get closer and closer to their peak, I would assume that Martinelli, Saka, but you have Ramsdale, you have our center halves, Ben White, majority of our spine, plus the midfield with Odegaard are only going to get better, in addition to the fact that we're going to go out in the transfer window and, of course, strengthen. You'd assume that we would strengthen in key areas where we're weak right now and add more squad depth. And with us playing in the Champions League next year, we'd be able to acquire that kind of talent that we would need, the top level talent. So I only think this team gets better. Now, where we're going to be in the league next season, I would expect us to be challenging once again, because I don't want us to drop off as an expectation. But guess what? With us playing in all 4 competitions next season, you could potentially see a drop off, and then you will say, then you'll be proven with an answer. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to stay at this level, and this is the new level that we need to maintain, and this is the new standard we need to maintain going forward. And with another season under Mikel Arteta, also hopefully he will learn from his mistakes from this season, and the players will take this experience to push them on for the following season. Anyone who's calling this season a failure, it's only a failure if next season we capitulate and we drop off again and we don't go on to push on.
I don't know. I'm in two minds. I think the competition is going to get way tougher for everybody, without a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Now, I think someone said the word peak, and I'm thinking like, yeah, have you peaked? Don't see Thomas Partey getting any better than he did. Don't really see Ben White getting any better than he did.
Ben White?
Ben White. He's not going to get better than what he did this season. No chance. Ridiculous. He's not even Ben White. He's Ben Tand, like orange bastard. But what's it called? Who else is there as well? I think Zinchenko quality. Yeah, I think your back two's quality. I think Saliba's only going to get better. Saka's only going to get better. Martinez's only going to get better. I think you can only get better. But I think it's more not about the players. I think it's more, Xhaka definitely peaked. But what's it called? It's not about the players. It's about can your manager provide another system? I think he's got to learn from himself more than what the players have got to learn from what they're doing. You can't play with one way and that intensity that Arsenal do, go out in early competitions just to do the same thing next season. Do you get what I mean? So that's only.
I think
the way I look at it.
I think with Arsenal, if they had won something this season, it would have gave that group of players confidence that, you know what, they have won something, they just missed out and they can go again. I go back to Liverpool winning the league. I don't think we win the league if we don't win the Champions League or get to the Champions League final and then win the Champions League. Because that before that, these players didn't win anything. So it doesn't matter. I mean, look, under Arsene Wenger, you came second in the Leicester season. Man United came second a couple seasons ago. That we all said, is that gonna spur them on? That doesn't mean anything because you haven't won anything, and that squad hasn't got the feeling of winning yet. And I'm talking about something as small as a Carabao Cup. If that won something this season and got to that and went the distance with City, it would have been like, you know what, we've got the bottle to go and win something. And I think next season you're starting again with the basis of, yeah, we just done really well, but we didn't win anything. And how do the players have the mentality to overcome that? I would have said so if you had won the rest of your remaining games. I would have been like, you know what? There's a mentality about Arsenal. That's when I go back to what I was saying. The mentality of the players in this situation, because they haven't won, means that they'll make excuses for themselves. The fans are allowing them the fans are allowing for the players to say, you know what, Saliba was out, you know, that's why, and City were just too good. Like we haven't won anything, as opposed to saying, you know what, this was on us, and we've proven that we can win before. And because you haven't done that, you're always going to be in that nearly category. And I know I'm speaking as a Liverpool fan with the league. We saw how last season affected us, and we're talking about to the highest level of winning the quad. And we had won the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, but it's not the same as winning the league. And I think that if you had won something this season like an FA Cup along with this run, I think, you know what, your team would have been ready. But right now, apart from winning games, what have you really benefited from mentally? I'm trying to look at. I don't see a huge amount of benefit. I think the players individually get better. Does that mean that the team as a collective get better? I'm not sure.
Can I ask you a question? I agree with you on everything you're saying, but do you feel like this can be a learning curve and something they can take away from it? Like being in that challenge, being in that high intensive situations? Because let's be honest, a lot of these players have never been in this situation. This could be what teaches them and gets them to that level. Because how many players in your Liverpool side were ever in a title challenge before you challenged the first time?
Exactly. No, we weren't. But the problem is that we got to the Champions League. When we finished fourth, we got to the Champions League final, lost out to Madrid, and then came back and won the Champions League final and finished second. So what I'm saying is that we still went and proved that, you know what, that team, obviously they missed out on the Champions League, but got into top four and said, you know what, we were so close to the Champions League, let's go again. So now, of course, we'll have to wait until next season. Like you said, of course you can learn something, and there's a learning experience, there's a learning curve where you're like, you know what, that's where we probably messed up. But you've got to take away the kind of the argument or the excuse that Saliba was injured or City was so good. You've got to put it on yourself to go and level up, because otherwise it's always a reason why you didn't do something, as opposed to saying, you know what, we just weren't good enough. So that's the fans and the players and the manager have got to have that mentality to move forward. Otherwise, you're going to be in the same situation. Look at United. Look at Arsenal under Wenger when you were second to Leicester. You guys all probably thought, yeah, next season we might win the league because we came second, and look what happened. Look what happened with United. It's a sticky one, man.
I think as well, there's parts that you've got to consider. Like, I think there's two main factors as to the doubt of what the Arsenal could. I think you'll stay at a similar level, if not only get better, because of the AG squad. But is the competition around you going to remain at this level to where it's only you and City at the top? Because I can only see United getting better if they make the right signings. I can only see us getting better from where we've been this year. I can only see Chelsea getting better because, honest to God, they can't get much worse. Like, let's ignore Tottenham because Tottenham just look dead and buried. But if the competition around you gets better, how's that going to deal with it? And the other thing as well is, yes, this was your first time on a title challenge. I understand that. But it's not your first time in a high-pressure situation. This squad has, for 3 years now, been epitomised by failure in the nicest possible way. You had 8th place, which simply wasn't up to Arsenal standards, and not making that Europa League final,
Tom,
was you were expected to make that final. Yeah. The year after, top 4 was the expectation. You were there, you were there, and you threw it away right at the end. This time, you weren't expected to win the title, but that expectation grew as the season went on, and you were there 93% of the season, and you failed. I just wonder how many more times this Arsenal squad can dust themselves off and get back on their bike and go again, or at what point are they just going to go, I can't do it anymore. I need something else. I'm done. I'm tapped out.
No, but Tom, you just said this team has been failing for 3 years. Don't you see the gradual improvements over those 3 years from 8th to 5th to 2nd? Like, what are we talking about here? You're making it seem like you're making it seem like,
but your failures have also gotten bigger.
You're forgetting the journey that it takes to sometimes get to success, and also to compare this team to our team that finished second against Leicester, which was on 71 points, to compare it to Manchester United's team that finished second against Man City that was on 74 points. The reality is we've done a lot of damage on this season in the Premier League, and what that is, that's muscle memory and remembering how to perform consistently throughout a 38-game season. That can only push you on as a team. And these type of experiences that we have, yes, although we've performed bad in the business end of the season, we can learn from this and push on as we had last season, as we had the year before. And this is where I need to see these performances change next season. So
you have to win something next year. You have to win something. I'm sorry, you have to.
I agree. One second. I just want to make it adamantly clear. I agree with you. We have to win something next year.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the point that there's been improvements.
I just want to say, like, I think a number of teams around Arsenal will get better. City might even get better. There's no doubt. But I think, again, this is where when people are going, there's bantering Arsenal and then there's having a serious conversation. Everybody said they were going to go backwards last year and they got better. Throughout October and September and October and November and January and February, everybody said they're going to fall away. Now, in the end, they didn't win the title. But everybody that predicted in September that after one defeat, they would crumble and fall away, you're not right because they didn't win the league title. You said they'd crumble and fall away. You were wrong still. So I'm not going to write Arsenal off right now. I think that is mad. However, what you said, Jerry, about Liverpool, spot on. What did Liverpool do? They went out and broke a world record on a goalkeeper. They went out and bought one of the best central defensive midfielders in Europe at the time. They already had, what's his face? They went and got Van Dijk like 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
And broke a world record to get him. Arsenal this summer have got to go out and buy 3 or 4 players and spend 200 to 250 million pound plus in this transfer market and improve the squad exponentially. You have to, and look, Declan Rice becomes your best midfielder as soon as he signs to your football club. He's better than Partey. He's better than Xhaka. You need someone to come in. You're linked to Rafinha. Go and get him. Rafinha's better than Saka is right now. Go and get him. Push Saka to that next level by making him pressured. Too many gooners are on the internet going, oh, we can't. What about the pathway of this player or the pathway of who gives a damn? If there's a better goalkeeper available, get him. Not that Ramsdale's bad, but if there's a better option available in the market, improve your team. Because that is what Liverpool did. That is what Man City did. It's what Chelsea did to win the league in the noughties. what Man United did throughout the early 90s to be able to win the league. Equally, you've got to weaponize the pain you're going through right now. There's a great story that come out from the class of 92 when they missed out on their first league title and they were getting laughed at in the ground. And Fergie brought the youngsters aside and said, listen, some of the guys in this squad know how to win the league, but listen to that laughter from those West Ham fans. When West Ham drew with us last day of the season, Blackburn won the league. Listen to that laughter. They use that, weaponize it, and go again. But that was how Fergie turned adversity into mental strength. Your manager's got to be able to do that next year. So you've got to go out and spend big. You've got to give big wages to players that are thinking of leaving. You've got to grow this squad to the next level. And then you've got to weaponize this disappointment. And then I think you can challenge again next year. However, the big question is, and this is just a question, can you challenge when you're expected to versus challenging when you were written off? And maybe this is what rivals aren't realizing. The more everyone writes them off, maybe you take the pressure off Arsenal. Maybe if the pressure is actually, no, I think he'll do well, I think he'll be really good, maybe that applies more pressure to them. If the whole world writes them off again, we as their rivals are taking all the pressure away from them because we're saying they're crap. That don't make sense to me. If you want to put Arsenal under more pressure, tell them they're good. There's more pressure being told you're good than being told you're bad because managers use the negativity said about you to weaponize it to make you better. So why don't you try a different tactic? It's not as fun on socials, but it applies more pressure. Arsenal, like, if you want Arsenal to foul next year, but you think they're crap, I think you're only going to make them better. Writing Arsenal off is only going to make them better, in my view. Just going through the history of psychology in sport, that is what turns teams around. So I think Arsenal got a great chance next year. But if they don't buy right this time, if they lose Declan Rice and Caicedo to rivals, they lose Rafinha that they're linked to now, it might be somebody else by the time. If you miss out on your main targets again, or 2 or 3 of your main targets again to other clubs, I still think you'll be a Champions League team as it stands right now. We'll have to review things later. I don't know what everybody else has done. If you don't improve that squad significantly, you won't beat City to the title next year because Nobbins got his spot on 12, 13, 40 minutes ago. City, they're purring now. I think they could break the Centurions points record next year. If they start the season out ending it with cohesion in that squad, they could beat the 100-point barrier. So you guys have got to go out and make some serious splashes in that ocean for me personally. But yeah, I wouldn't write Arsenal off completely. That makes sense too.
I need to ask Nobbins.
You need to be like Avengers
Nobbins.
against City, man.
Nobbins, the season
at home. It's part of the bus. Every big club, Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham, and the rest of them, just go part the bus at the Etihad and part the bus at your own thing against City only. And then when it comes to against each other, that's it, man. Go, innit? It's anyone's game. That's what we gotta do, man.
I was gonna ask the 2 Liverpool fans and also Nobbins. The season City lost the league to you guys. Wouldn't you say that was a season where they were not at their best and they fell off a little bit?
Yes, and a massive injury problem with the other centre back.
Lampard
with
was
Otamendi
and De Bruyne being
and centre back
injured. But this is my point. When we spoke, this is like 2 months ago, and we were talking about whether Arsenal can do it. You said yourself, this isn't the same City team as before. They're not as strong as they were before. And that's why I'm saying you guys had to capitalize this season because we've seen it when City are on top. Like, we've been a point off. We've been 2 points off. We still come second. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. How well we done.
Also,
I think the thing
Liverpool
about that season, they came
and
second as well. Like
is it-
that season, we beat them to the title. They still got 26 wins. Like even on a down season, they have a really good tally at the end of it.
And just based on history, for a second, based on history of winning the Premier League, has any team ever gone 4 league titles in a row?
Not
No,
yet.
but records can be broken.
So based on that, I'm saying City next season, I know although they're going to be everyone's favorites after winning 3 league titles in a row and going for a treble, who's to say they're going to outright just win it next season?
There's an anomaly in this, and I think Nobbin said it. They weren't meant to win the league this season. That's it. They weren't meant to. That's it.
Yeah, I think your point holds water. No, as far as I can see, no one's ever done more than a 3-peat. Huddersfield did a 3-peat. Huddersfield and Arsenal have done 3-peats. I assume Liverpool have done one. Yeah, they did. In the 80s. United have done 2 of them. This is the first one that City would have done. Yeah, so they again, you're right. That stacks the odds against them. But right now, this City team with the monster up front, Haaland, it could be crazy. I want to do some super chats, guys. I don't want to ignore these that have come through. First one from earlier says, this is about our sponsors today. Terry picked several of the tops Haaland's 35th Champions League goal cards. Yeah, trust me, the Mad Hatter, in about 5-6 years' time, keep them safe, keep them in some nice case here, and they're going to be worth some money. One sold yesterday, even Mbappe record-breaking goal thing. I think he was one of the fastest youngsters to like 10 goals. Sold for $7,000.
Wait, the top. I've got the 2004 version with Henri and everything still in a whole book.
Bruv, trust me, see how much that stuff's worth. Like, some of that stuff is worth a lot of money. Context is everything. Arsenal did bottle it at the end, but we made the title push with the second youngest team and a £400 million difference in squad value to City.
Don't know where that 400 mils come from.
But I mean, but that doesn't matter. But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Like that excuse isn't going to allow you to win. You've got to have the mentality of our team is good enough. These players are good enough. They're on par with City's. It doesn't matter how much you spend for them. The players, in terms of their ability, are on par with what City have got. Otherwise, you're always going to be second best. That's a loser's mentality.
You can't go into seasons already writing it off, and already having your excuses ready for when you fail, because that runs through the same way that the positivity of a fan base runs through, the negativity runs through the dressing room. Players are onto this stuff.
A fact doesn't have to be an excuse. It can just be a pure fact that the person's pointing out to make themselves feel better.
Sorry, go on, carry on.
But I'm just going to say this. Out of everything we've said, I don't think Chelsea, Liverpool, are going to be the teams that come back and threaten Arsenal or affect.
Gal, you do realize we've been better than you in this year. In 2023,
the only issue
it's not even that. Only teams that I'm looking at the points tallies and I'm saying to myself, Liverpool this season have had a terrible season, and for them to bridge the gap to what we've done this season, it's going to take a lot. The teams that I'm going to look at to say, you know what, maybe they're more threatening is probably, dare I say, it's crazy, but Newcastle and Man United are probably closer to us at this moment in time, and I don't know why Liverpool and Chelsea's names are being brought up in these conversations.
Liverpool, I'll happily put our name in this conversation again. Hold on a minute. This is a team that has been there, done it. This is a team that has that mentality, has that history. And you know what? Let me ask you.
And you've missed your opportunity. You've missed your window. That's the reality.
You've missed our window.
You're missing one thing, though, Tom.
Okay, then. Okay, yes.
With the age of your squad, it looks like you've missed the window.
What do we need to do then to reach?
You need to get a new manager. That's what you need to get a new manager.
I need to see Liverpool do what they haven't been able to do for the last 4 or 5 seasons since they went and spent big in the transfer window and got themselves into the title challenge. You need to spend big again and refresh your squad so you can get yourself back into the title challenge. And this is not a thing where I'm even sticking my nose down at Liverpool. Credit to you guys for challenging City and winning your Champions League, winning the league. But the team that you have right now needs a massive refresh in the midfield and in some key areas. You've already done the attack. Now just refresh the midfield, get some squad players, fill out the squad, and maybe bring in 5 quality players. Spend the most money you've spent in in your transfer history, and maybe you can get yourself back into that title challenge. But you do know you need a lot more work to get to our level right now, where we're competing for the league.
Again, no, Miguel, I think you're doing us a disservice. We were awful to start the season. There is no excusing that, and we had issues that you had. Our manager was being an idiot and not changing. But since he has found his brain, he dug round Axa, found his brain, put it back in his head, and came up with something else. We have been the second best team in the league since 2023. Statistically, we are second in the form table. Yeah. So if we were to carry that on,
where are you in the table? I was statistically second, but I was still 8th, and people were laughing at me. I don't care about that. That's the reality. We don't care about that.
No, but we're predicting for next season, though. We look at using that as a trajectory for next season. For this season, of course, Arsenal are miles better than Liverpool. This season, Arsenal are miles better than Liverpool.
Hang on, guys. That's not true, though. I've just put the dates in here. From the 1st of January...
it's the 1st of February, I think. It's the 1st of February.
Okay, yeah. So from the 1st of January 2023, Liverpool have got 34 points. Arsenal have got 41. But from the 1st of... When did you say?
February.
So the 1st of February. Let me just check this out.
The
1st of February, yes. 33 points to you, 31 to Arsenal. Yeah, sorry. Okay, since February. Okay, cool.
So we have now found something. We have found something that works with a squad that isn't good enough. So let's just say we go buy players that are good enough and put them in this system, and we don't.
In the interest of time, because I've got about another 17 super chats to get through. I hear everyone said their points. We'll let the audience decide on that one. This here says just a question. Klopp completed club trophy set in Liverpool before Pep By that context, shouldn't Klopp be getting more respect as everyone seems to bash him now? I think Klopp gets respect, but he also was rightfully criticised for big mistakes that he made this year. And it's, a lot of Liverpool fans don't like hearing it, but he's made changes to that system, and they're on form for the last 16 games. They're one of the best teams in the league again. So everybody that was criticising him was absolutely spot on. Kaz scam rate in the club over Odegaard on the pitch. What does that even mean?
Means
I don't
that
know.
Kaz is looking at all the ladies in the club because Odegaard always looks around doing that to check who's around him.
Right.
I think that's what he's
In
trying
the
to
club,
say.
right. Kaz has got better scam rate in a nightclub. I get you there.
I don't go to nightclubs, but yeah, jeez.
Do people class the FA Cup as a major trophy? I got the Champions League and Prem.
Yeah,
I
it is.
do. I
Definitely.
class it as a major trophy. Tevin here says the players were physically and mentally shot, and now we collect our banter. We keep our powder dry and move to the next season. We need more talent. Mikel's least is shorter now, but I think he'll be fine. Thank you, Tevin. Terry, are you still scared of Arsenal? Yes or no? Yeah, I'm still until Man United are better than them. I'm fearful of them. There's no doubt about it in my mind, and they are better than us right now. All banter aside, they're better than us right now. Once we're better than them, then I'll no longer worry about them. Absolutely. My 7-year-old niece has more accountability than these Arsenal fans. 9 points in the last 21 games, and the reason is City are great. Loser DNA has set into that club, is what C says. Do you think you got loser DNA, Gal?
Nah, this guy.
Not you personally. I mean Arsenal. I mean you as in Arsenal. Not you personally. Let me specify.
This guy's ridiculous. So you can't acknowledge how good City are doing. I literally just said we've bottled it, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge how good City have been. They've won 11 games, and they're going to win 15 games in a row. If you're calling that loser mentality, that's stating a fact is now called loser mentality. It's crazy.
I don't think they have loser DNA, but they might have an inferiority complex.
Maybe. All of you are 15.
So do a lot of people for City.
All of you are 15 points or more behind the bottlers and are okay with it. Nah, like again, you can be a Liverpool fan and talk about things that are wrong with Arsenal because your football knowledge isn't limited to that of your football club and what your football club have done in a particular season. Otherwise, certain Arsenal fans shouldn't have been on the internet for 19 years. Do you know what I'm saying? But they rightfully were. What sort of show is this? You've got this loudmouth Tottenham fan trash talking Arsenal. Make it make sense.
Because they're rivals, maybe?
They're
Yeah,
they're going to talk shit.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal fans were on the terrace for years when they were sitting 8th, chatting shit about other teams, and that's fair as well, you know. Growing manager, growing players went up against one of the best teams to ever do it. They couldn't handle it. We'll be back. Not the time to get at everyone, is what Tevin says.
Fact, Tevin.
Players are pussies, weak mentality, manager also to blame, one-dimensional in big moments, trophy, Champions League quarters next year, plus a title challenge, or he has to go. Those two super chats, one after the other, so different from each other, but that's why I love football fans. Arsenal don't win the Premier or Champions League next year. Should Arteta be sacked? That will be 5 years with only one trophy.
No.
You have to look at the circumstances. If we fall away completely and we finish 5th, then yes. But if we challenge again and we get to like the semifinals of the Champions League and you see massive progression again, in the sense that we compete in all competitions and City just are too good, then maybe.
Yeah.
No, you should get sacked.
I think we should at least win one of the domestic trophies. Minimum.
I think you need a domestic trophy, literally a good Prem title challenge. I don't think it matters about UCL as much because it's your first time back. I think you need to compete at least there.
Yeah.
Not
I think
semi-final, though. Only the semi-final.
I think realistic expectations for the Champions League next season is quarterfinals or at least get into a round of 16 minimum. If we don't get into a round of 16, then we can look at ourselves differently.
Yeah. Exactly. The question is about Arsenal, but explanation is about City. Make it make sense. Thank you, N. Are other teams just going to stay static? I think we already addressed that. No, I think other teams will improve around Arsenal as well. That's why there's pressure upon them because they have to deliver. Lee made a great point. When will the fan base collectively demand a trophy from Arteta? You can't keep saying we'll only get better without trophies. Yeah, I think like, as a like, if they do another title challenge next year and finish second on 91 points, but go out early in all the cup competitions, I think he could be under some major pressure because there'll be none of that bigger fish to fry stuff next year. That won't wash with anybody.
It's different for us United fans, though, man. Because if Ten Hag gets backed this summer, which he probably will, don't win nothing next season, I'm asking questions, mate.
Yeah, if we don't win anything, yeah, I'll definitely be asking questions as
Yeah.
well. 100%. Not as strong as before. Possible 94 points. Right, is what Tevin says there. Liverpool are definitely going to be back now that Klopp has found the inverted role for Trent. United and Chelsea need time. Arsenal need to get their priority signings, is what Zizou says here. You really don't think Liverpool will be back next year, do you, Egal?
No, I just think the people are saying Liverpool are going to be back competing for the league next season. They're not acknowledging the massive things that Liverpool need to do this transfer window. And until they make those signings that show that they're going to improve to the level that they need to, I'm not going to be on that camp that Liverpool are going to be back.
I agree. They're far off. Klopp's never rebuilt a team properly before. And second of all, who said the signing's going to work? Actually, who says anyone's signing's going to work? But you got an Asian Salah. Robertson ain't looking like the guy he is no more. Van Dijk's going to get worse. Alisson's obviously class. And they got to ship off a few midfielders, man. And I think it will come down to maybe not a quality issue in the end, maybe a depth issue, regardless of changing Milner and Henderson, all them guys. They'll have probably a great 11, but I think above that is like maybe their window short potentially to get. I think that might be it. Liverpool ain't going to get worse, man. I don't even think Trent's going to stay in that inverted role. I think it goes back to the wide. When the midfielders can do their job, go do what you do great again. Whip the ball.
If he puts Trent back out to hug and touch line, he's an idiot.
Yeah, but you know what's
going to happen, though. You know what's going to happen.
I know, but it's just I want him to be smart. I want him to not lose his brain. He's found it. You have genuinely what I think most managers would say is the perfect inverted wing back.
Money Merseyside Mount is coming to save the day.
I'm not even against Mount, by the way. I'm not even against Mount. I think Mason Mount would be really good if you stick with Trent inverting, because Mason Mount can go play on the wing or in a wider position and still be effective. If we sign Mason Mount to go play centre mid as an actual centre mid, then it's pointless. I don't get it.
He says, Igal, stop waffling. We're a joke of a club. We always fall at the last hurdle. It's the history of Arsenal. I've seen this script since 2007.
Guess what? That was also Man City's history until the Aguero moment. So fair enough.
Igal will quit YouTube if Arsenal fall out of the top 4 next year. Is this claim from Jamrock? I don't agree with that. As per Igal's logic, if Arsenal get a difficult group in the Champions League, they won't make the knockout stages, as per Arteta's European record with Arsenal. Fair point.
Depends who it is. If it's Real Madrid and Bayern, probably.
As a Gooner, I think it's generous to say that City are just too good. We had an 8-point lead on them twice and still missed the title. It's a great point being made there. Liverpool won't be back anywhere until Klopp goes, is what Albert says. Agree. Of course, that's a massive claim. I did want to speak a bit about City before the end of the show. Big game this week, Nobbins. Big one at home against Real Madrid. You must be confident of beating them.
Oh God, we should beat them. I think the last time we lost in the Champions League at home was to Liverpool in the Centurion season. I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that was the last time we lost at home in the Champions League.
Oh, you lost to Spurs.
We won the game though.
Oh right, okay. I always think about it as a tie, but okay, lost the game. Yeah, I get you.
Exactly. So I don't think we've lost a game since then. So a 1-1 at the Bernabeu with away goals being irrelevant is a huge result because it means that game was basically null and void. It all comes down to the Etihad game. Everything points to a City win with a better team, but everything pointed to a City win last season in the 89th minute when we were had a 2-goal cushion. So it's Real Madrid in the Champions League. It's impossible to predict. I haven't really been thinking about the Champions League, to be fair, because I was just too busy focusing on the whole Arsenal capitulating situation, which is brilliant. It does now mean we can actually win the title at home in front of Raheem Sterling, which is some sort of beautiful poetic irony or something. But yeah, City should beat Real Madrid, not comfortably, but I don't know what to say. We should beat them, but I'm just really nervous because as I say, it's Real Madrid, and I'll get like
That's
Vietnam
fine, isn't it?
flashbacks. If we're like, what's that? Sorry, Cass.
About to cry, innit?
I'm an emotional man, Cass. What do you want from me? No, yeah.
I want you to suffer. Not you
Yeah, I bet
personally.
you do.
Yeah.
You swine. Yeah, I
I've
bet you
got
do.
an dickhead over there on City Extra right now, yeah. Probably gassing it up right now and then probably playing it safe. You know, oh, we haven't won the league title yet. You know, all that kind of stuff, yada yada.
But yeah, so Real Madrid, scary prospect, but I mean, I only saw the first 50 minutes of the Real Madrid game because I was abroad, so I didn't get to see it all. So I don't know really what happened after the 50th minute. But from what I saw, I thought we were just about the better side. Can't comment 50th to 90th minute. So if it's anything like that, with that, you know, everyone wants to have a go at the Etihad atmosphere, but you know, it is actually quite good in terms of the big games. If you actually do go to the Etihad, you'll probably realise that. From my experience,
tickets are probably still available, so anyone can go.
Yeah, and from my experience of again, people can prove me wrong. My experience of Spanish away fans is not that good in terms of atmosphere. So atmosphere shouldn't be an issue.
Real Madrid fans are garbage.
That's my experience. At the Etihad for sure. So we should beat them. It's sort of different to last year because at least the second leg's at home rather than at the Bernabeu.
Melvin, quick question: Are you more concerned about say if you get past Real Madrid, right? Who would concern you more, AC Milan or Inter?
It's a good question. If AC Milan have Leao, I think that's how it's pronounced, then probably AC Milan would concern me more.
Really? They're defensively shocking.
I know, yeah, but it's I can just see it now.
Yeah,
like
Milan's
Walker
got
will get
players
injured,
there,
and it'll be Leao up against Akanji, and it'll be hell on earth. But I think actually,
Lukaku, mate.
What's that? Lukaku, yeah. It's the script is set for an Edin Dzeko winner, for Inter Milan probably, and then to break my heart. But if it is Inter Milan in the final, Gal, I think it will be basically the definition of attack versus defense, and it's going to be the most disgusting football match we'll ever see. It'll be like 0-0, like 90% City possession, and then the last minute they'll have a corner. It'll be like reminiscent of like the QPR game where Dzeko scored that goal. And
no, I hope it's end up like reminiscent of the Wigan City FA Cup final.
Oh God, yeah.
Dominated and Ben Watson bang in the last moment.
Yeah.
But
God,
well, look, I'm just mad, right? Every time I predict Real Madrid to lose, they win. Right?
That's what they do.
I'm predicting an 8-0 victory to City. Right? But like, it's one of those hard ones. Everybody gets angry when you predict Real Madrid to go out because of like heritage, and I get it. But at the same time, predicting City to lose at home this season with this team,
they got the third best form in the Champions League ever in history. Wow. At home.
I can't look past City. I can't look past City for this game. I want to, but I can't.
Especially if they play Tony Kroos. I think Tony Kroos got a chance, man. No Tony Kroos. Arse.
Yeah, I think our record against Real Madrid is also perfectly even. Like we've won and lost the same amount of games. So like this is really set up for like one club to like actually have like the outright record against the other as well in terms of head to head as well. Because City are massive, we got the chance to have a better head to head record against Real Madrid. So yeah, you love to see it.
Very intriguing to see what happens in the game. Score predictions, Gal. What you're going to go for? Score on the night and who makes it through to the final?
Man City make it through, and Man City win in a 2-1 victory, small margin.
Young Thomas.
I reckon City. This could be like one of them statement wins because I reckon this is they finally go do it and win it. So I reckon this could be something like 4-1 or something.
JJ?
I think Real Madrid go through. I think City are the better team throughout the game, but I think a penalty, a corner, a set piece, they just scrape through somehow. I can't go against them for the same reason people saying they can't go against City. It is a toss up at this point, but I say 1-0 Real Madrid.
I I've got to manifest it, so I've got to like say it openly so it happens. This is all based on feeling and not thought, and probably no logic whatsoever because I can't stand your club. So I'm gonna say Real Madrid win on penalties.
I'm going 2-1 City, and I just think all our clubs have been through this. I know Liverpool have in Europe and in the league, United have it in Europe in the league, where sometimes you miss out or something happens, like how City went out last year. And I just believe when you get an opportunity a year or two later, with the same score, you do it, you win. It very rarely happens like lightning strikes twice. So I'm going to go City to win 2-1 narrowly, but I don't think it will be a landslide 3 or 4-0 or anything like that. What are you going with, Nobbins?
Real Madrid will take a 2-0 lead. Vinicius and Benzema will link up, and they will both score respectively. First half, 2-0. City will come back. De Bruyne, Haaland. Extra time, penalties, and it's going to come down to the keepers. And Ederson is allegedly our best penalty taker. And Ederson is going to win the shootout for City.
And he's no good at saving penalties either.
Well, that's fine then, because I don't know who's going to miss for Real Madrid. Someone right at the end is going to miss for Real Madrid. Their keeper, there you go. Courtois is going to bottle it. He's going to hit the crossbar.
Courtois a very good goalkeeper for saving penalties.
That's a dramatic way to end the.
That would be an amazing Champions League semi-final. That'd be one of the greatest. I mean, obviously, I want Real Madrid to go through because, like this City team are petrifyingly scary, and the sense of relief I will feel if the treble can't happen, the sense of the sort of reassurance and the relaxation that will follow, the anxiety that I have surrounding the idea of this treble will be massive. Just as we've seen a lot of people's anxiety relieved now that Arsenal haven't gone on and achieved something everybody doubted. That thank God Arsenal didn't do it. It's even bigger with City going for this treble. I haven't been able to compute why, especially Man United fans, have been more focused on hoping on Arsenal failing this year than looking at what this City team might go on to achieve. Because it's if they do this treble, yes, United have got one. But I don't want another English team having one. That means 2 of us have got it. And I was talking to my mate today, Phil, is a Gooner, and he's like, I don't understand why Arsenal fans are now getting behind City to win this treble. He said, because that just pushes us further down the pecking order in England as greats. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Maybe me and my mate, maybe we're older, maybe we focus on football and we look at different things. But yeah, I'm going to go with a City win, though. I can't bet against them. I'd be a liar to do anything else. But there we go. Gentlemen, I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Oh, actually, do we have more super chats here that came in? No, we did. Sorry. First one says the sale of Man United should make people nervous. It does, Ronnie. It does, Ronnie. 100% people are nervous about it. I know they are. Probably barring City fans. But everybody else, I know are worried 100% if we get the Qataris. Klopp has credit in the bank, but blew up the vault, is what Albert says here. And someone actually said in the press conference, Klopp has alluded to playing Trent in central midfield more regularly. Just wanted to put that out there. Someone DM me that. On a longer term basis. But I always knew he was going to do that. That's why I was angry at Southgate for doing it first, because Klopp wants like all great managers, Klopp wants the credit for that conversion. We can loan back Casemiro to Madrid on Thursday. They don't need.
They'd be better off with Chouamani.
They don't. No, I mean, they don't need him. Do you know what I noticed though? Right? Sometimes people say, "How does the club fix itself?" You buy better players. The way Real Madrid were able at times in that game to bypass that City press was just because they've got superior technicians compared to most other teams in Europe. That's what you need to do to improve your team. Like people talk about training and this and that. Buy better players. It's so simple, you know what I mean? But there we go. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. My panel, you've been amazing as ever. Please hit the like and the share button. Go check out Tops now. The semi-final cards are being released later this week, so go and get yourself signed up now, ready for their new collection that's coming out. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Thank you.